European leaders are expected to soon arrive at the White House ahead of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's arrival closer to 1 o'clock this afternoon. Steve Ganyard reports officials will discuss with President Trump the possibility of peace in the war in Ukraine.
The demand from Putin was the rest of Donetsk. That is an area about the size of Delaware. It's very rich in minerals and agriculture. It's a strong industrial area. So that is what he sees as his consolation prize.
But Zelensky has already said he's not going to give up that land, which could indicate negotiations will continue. It is 86 degrees right now in Midtown Atlanta. We'll top out in the low 90s today amid our sunny skies. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast coming up at 12:05. Details are announced for a public service to honor a DeKalb County police officer killed in the CDC shooting.
Officer David Rose, a recent police academy graduate and Marine veteran who deployed to Afghanistan, was killed when a single gunman opened fire on the CDC campus on Clifton Road on August 8th. His pregnant widow and 2 children will be joined by family, friends, and his colleagues, as well as the general public, to honor his memory in a service at 11 a.m. Friday at First Baptist on North Peachtree. Seating is on a first-come, first-served basis, as is the available on-site parking. The service will also be streamed online through the county's digital platform, DCTV 23. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Well, a Woodstock man who's a recent graduate of Kennesaw State University is dead after an apparent drowning at a lake in northeast Georgia. The Georgia DNR identifies the man as 25-year-old Breck Lewis Green. He was swimming with a friend on Lake Chatoog in Towns County near Hiawassee when the friend returned to his dock and briefly went inside. When he came back out, Green was missing. Officials used sonar to find and recover his body a short distance from the dock. Category 4 Hurricane Erin continues to plow north in the Atlantic with powerful winds and heavy rain slamming Puerto Rico. It's not expected to make landfall here in the U.S., but could still impact Georgia's coast.
What we anticipate is big-time waves. Waves, we're talking 8 to 12 feet all along the coast, not just in South and North Carolina, but up through Long Island, New Jersey, but also those rip currents on top of it all. I can't emphasize enough, overwash in the Outer Banks or that erosion, also an issue.
Meteorologist Ginger Z says it's expected to remain a large hurricane through the middle of this week. The Federal Highway Administration says it may change speed limits across the country. That after a recent spike in roadway deaths.
Its first update since 2009 questions the long-standing unofficial rule that sets the limit at the 85th percentile of what drivers actually drive on a given highway. Transportation officials say that causes a feedback loop. People speed, and then limits get raised even higher.
Wayne Cabot reports the highest speed limit in the country right now is in Texas, where a state highway near Austin has a speed limit of 85 miles per hour. New information today on a recent murder in Atlanta. The woman's body was found at a storage unit on Campbellton Road in southwest Atlanta, and that victim is now identified as 29-year-old Alexis Harlow. She was shot to death. Police believe she had been dead for at least 24 hours when the body was discovered last Wednesday. Atlanta police are asking anyone with information to give them a call, and Crime Stoppers is offering a $5,000 reward in that case. Georgia's obesity rate is analyzed in a new national report.
Just like the rest of the country, the age group with the highest obesity rate, adults 45 to 54, so the middle-aged. But the concerning part of this new analysis by the telehealth company Invigor is rapid increase in obesity among young adults, those 25 to 34. That suggests the obesity epidemic may be gaining momentum earlier in adulthood than in previous decades. Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
A popular diabetes and weight loss drug is getting a slight price cut.
Novo Nordisk has just announced it's slashing the price of Ozempic for cash-paying patients to $499 a month, roughly half its current list price.
Vicky Barker reports the drug maker's also partnering with GoodRx to offer Ozempic and Wegovy for the same price at pharmacies across the U.S. Well, 18 new restaurants and retailers are being added or relocated at Lenox Square Mall.
The new mix of businesses are aimed at catering to the evolving customer base at the mall, more Gen Z and millennial shoppers. Cole Haan, Claire's, and Kelly's Cajun Grill will be new to Lenox and will open later this year. Among those expanding or relocating in the mall, Rolex, Burberry, and Ferragamo. New and exclusive to the Atlanta market will be All Saints and Good American. Simon Property Group, which owns and manages Lenox, says the changes are about keeping the mall relevant. Cheryl Castro, Castro, 95.5 WSB.
It is 12:04. Time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Hey, good afternoon, Austin. Watching a little bit of 285 merging madness into DeKalb County, trying to use that new ramp to I-20 eastbound. Once you get on to 20 eastbound, you might encounter that right lane construction before Panola Road, exit number 71. Heads up for a down tree. This is on Northside Parkway northbound. This is in northwest Atlanta, just west of the Mount Perrin Church, Mount Perrin Christian School area. So or North Atlanta High School, I should say. That's west of I-75, so look out for that. And still a few brake lights in Midtown, 7585 South 17th Street to North Avenue. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Now it's time for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta.
Sunny skies, hot and humid today, high 93. An isolated pop-up shower can't be ruled out, but mainly dry today. Lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high 89. A few more pop-up showers and storms on Wednesday, high near 90. Partly to mostly cloudy with scattered storms Thursday, high 88. Mostly cloudy Friday with widespread rain showers and thunderstorms, high 84.
That's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Right now, 87 degrees in Kennesaw and Norcross and 86 in Midtown. More news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Three, two, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
My fellow Americans, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, well, I got to be honest with you, traveling on Friday and having to do this show and also the Carathon down at WOKV in Jacksonville, I was a little bit concerned that we would get some real breaking news out of that Alaska summit, and there was nothing. There wasn't a lot. In fact, I think it signals that the Trump administration's unwillingness to really talk about it suggests that nothing substantive really came other than a willingness to talk. What I find bizarre, though, is the absolute tribalism that the president of the United States sitting down with Vladimir Putin was not a bad thing. It was actually a good thing that the president of the United States would sit with the president of Russia. And the attacks on Trump for sitting with Vladimir Putin, I think, were just really, really bizarre stuff. It's rank tribalism by the left. I want to begin with this audio from David Brooks, who on Friday I spent time with his column in the New York Times about the class segregation in society. But just listen to this.
I think it was progress just that it happened. He gave credibility to a war criminal. So I don't count that as progress. I want to say this is the weirdest press conference to have to try to comment about. Because it was like watching two guys eat salad, and then I'm supposed to say, here's what it means for world history. Like they like Vladimir Putin talked like Sarah Palin about how close Alaska is to Russia, and then Trump was making moon eyes at his dear friend Vladimir, and they talked about sort of agreements, but there was nothing there, as Jonathan said. The words that leapt out at me, there was the word agreement in there, so maybe there's some agreement. The word that leapt out at me is what Vladimir Putin said, root causes. Now, when Vladimir Putin talks about root causes, that is the same demands he's been making since the start of this war.
Right.
He wants territory that his army has not conquered. He wants to control who runs the regime of Ukraine, no Zelensky. No NATO membership, a whole bunch of other stuff. No support for Ukraine. These are non-negotiables.
Listen, he gave credibility to a war criminal. He gave credibility to the president of the Russian Federation. You may not like Vladimir Putin. I don't. I think he's an evil man. But he is the leader of a massive nation, the largest nation on the planet, at war in Ukraine. And hearing him out, I think, is kind of what you have to do. The rolling of the red carpet. There were pictures of soldiers rolling out a red carpet before Putin's plane, and people were outraged by it. I can't believe we would roll out the red carpet for this war criminal. This is the worst thing ever. Barack Obama literally flew drones and killed American citizens. Barack Obama killed American citizens with no due process, with drones, and these people are like, rolling out the red carpet's the worst thing a president has ever done. No. I assure you, Franklin Roosevelt rounding Japanese Americans up and putting them in intern camps was worse than rolling out a red carpet. Can you have some perspective on this? There wasn't a lot that was accomplished, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. I will say this. I think that was there any sort of significance in the meeting, we wouldn't have Marco Rubio say, we can't tell you what was accomplished. I think that there would be things there that they would leak out. And there were some about security negotiations and the like, but Rubio did have a fair point talking to Martha Raddatz.
I mean, critics of President Trump are always going to find something to criticize. You don't even pay attention to it anymore. But I will tell you this, Putin is already on the world stage. He's already on the world stage. The guy's conducting a full-scale war in Ukraine. He's already on the world stage. He has the world's largest tactical nuclear arsenal in the world and the second largest strategic nuclear arsenal in the world. He's already on the world stage. When I hear people say that, it elevates him, well, all we do is talk about Putin all the time. All the media's done is talk about Putin all the time for the last 4 or 5 years. That doesn't mean he's right about the war. That doesn't mean he's justified about the war. Put all that aside. It means you're not going to have a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. You're not going to end a war between Russia and Ukraine without dealing with Putin. That's just common sense. I shouldn't even have to say it.
He's right. And so you have to get him a seat at the table to talk to him. It genuinely is nonsense that we shouldn't have treated the president of Russia like he is actually a world leader. He is. So you roll out the red carpet, and then you know what Donald Trump did? He flew a B-2 bomber over his head. One of the B-2 bombers that dropped the weapons on Iran flew over Vladimir Putin's head while he was on the red carpet. And the left doesn't want to give him that. They pretend it didn't happen. Yes, he rolled out the red carpet, and then he flew a B-2 bomber that had dropped a bunker buster bomb over Vladimir Putin's head, and you people are so intellectually dishonest, you cannot acknowledge the symbolism of that. No, there wasn't a lot accomplished, and there really is concern about the president now trying to placate the Russians. The Europeans are all showing up at the White House at any moment now. They're going to start. But you know what? Here's the thing. The polling has shifted within Ukraine. Here's Harry Itten on CNN.
There have been some absolutely major shifts. The idea that Ukraine's going to achieve complete victory, that idea has collapsed within Ukrainian society. What are we talking about here? Ukrainians on the war versus Russia. You go back to 2022, the start of the war. Fight until Ukraine wins. Look at this. The vast majority, about 3/4, 73% agreed with that position. Negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, only 22%. Look at where we are now. It's a complete flip. It's the inverse. Now 69% want to negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, compared to just 24% who want to fight until Ukraine wins. That's a 49-point drop in this position. Now, of course, negotiating to end the war as soon as possible, that's a bit more nuanced, right? Ukrainians don't want to agree to all of Russia's demand, but I think the idea of even there being some territory that would be not formally recognized as being given that Russia could in fact stay in, that does have majority support, but the idea of formal recognition of Russia's demands, absolutely not. Yes.
Now, Volodymyr Zelensky insists he can't give up land, Ukrainian land, under the Ukrainian constitution. I'm pretty sure he's going to have to. One of the concerns is a security guarantee, because here's the real overarching problem. You have peace. The Russians keep the Donbas. They keep Crimea. They keep some of the land they've taken. What's to stop Vladimir Putin from surging his army, building up capacity, and then invading to take the rest of Ukraine? What's to happen? Rubio was asked about this by Martha Raddatz on CNN.
Does the president favor giving up territory that Ukraine now controls, specifically in the Donetsk region? Sources are telling us that's what was asked.
Well, first of all, I mean, Putin has given repeated speeches now for 2.5 years. There's one they always cite, which talks about taking most of Ukraine. and his view of history and how, so forth and so on. The second thing the president, so we know what their side is demanding, and we obviously know the Ukrainians are not in agreement with any of that. The second point I would make is the president has said repeatedly, when it comes to territories and territorial claims, that's ultimately something Ukraine will have to decide. It's their territory. It's their country. Ultimately, what they're willing to live with is what they'll have to decide on. Maybe the answer is they're not willing to live with any of this. We don't know, but that's what we need to explore. In the meantime, the one thing we do know that Ukraine has said repeatedly and publicly talked about is security guarantees. They need to be able to enter into security guarantees that ensure that this is never going to happen again, that they're not going to get reinvaded in 2.5 or 3 years or 4 years or whenever it may be. They don't want to be back here again. They want to be able to go on to rebuild their country and live their lives. That's a very reasonable request. That's something we're working on, and that's something the Russian side has to understand, obviously, is that as a sovereign country, Ukraine has a right, like every sovereign country, to enter into security alliances and agreements with other countries. So these are some of the things that we'll be discussing.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, but also concessions. Rubio was also on with Margaret Brennan on Face Nation. He made the rounds yesterday, going everywhere. He's on Meet the Press. He was on. He did the what was it? The full Ginsburg. Back in the day, Ben Ginsburg, famous lawyer for the Republicans during 2000, he would go on all the shows, Fox News Sunday, Meet the Press, Face the Nation this week, and Rubio did the same thing yesterday with all of them. Here he is with Margaret Brennan.
Ultimately, if Vladimir Putin is going to be offered land that he has not seized yet, but negotiates his way into, doesn't this set a dangerous precedent that the United States now accepts this concept that it is okay to seize land by force?
Well, Putin's already seized land by force, and that in and of itself is not a positive precedent. This whole war
Are you
is
demanding a withdrawal?
Precedent. Well, again, in order to have a deal here, to reach the end of this conflict, both sides are going to have to make concessions. That's just a fact.
Does that mean
in any negotiation,
where Russian forces are now?
But this is not about acceptance. This is about what Ukraine can accept and what Russia can accept. They both have to accept it. Otherwise, there won't be a peace deal. Okay? If there aren't concessions, if one side gets everything they want, that's called surrender. That's called the end of the war through surrender. And that's not what we're close to doing, because neither side here is on the verge of surrender or anything close to it. So in order for there to be a peace deal, this is just a fact. We may not like it. It may not be pleasant. It may be distasteful. But in order for there to be an end of the war, there are things Russia wants that it cannot get, and there are things Ukraine wants that it's not going to get. Both sides are going to have to give up something in order to get to the table, in order to make this happen. That's just the way it is. And I mean, the sooner we accept that, that's the reality. Now, what those things are is going to be up to both sides. There's no conditions that can be imposed on Ukraine. They're going to have to accept things, but they're going to have to get things too. And so, for example, Ukraine is a sovereign country. They have a right, like every sovereign country does in the world, to enter into security alliances with other countries to prevent an invasion in the future, to prevent threats to their national security. That's not an unreasonable request. That's something that needs to be worked on. Territories will have to be discussed.
Margaret Brennan is probably the dumbest of all of them on it really, really is. One more, though. This is Marco Rubio now with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press.
Mr. Secretary, you were one of the few people in that room with President Putin and President Trump. You got to look him in the eyes. Do you believe that President Putin believes in Ukraine's right to exist based on what you heard and saw?
Well, look, I wasn't playing any of those games about looking people in the eye and trying to read their minds. I'm reading actions. And that's what we're looking at is actions. What will you agree to? What will you commit to? And what will you follow up on? And in order for this war to end, Russia will have to take actions. Ukraine will have to take actions. Ukraine's partners and allies will have to take actions as well to enforce that peace in the long term. That's what we're interested in. Not all, I get all the drama around this stuff. But at the end of the day, we are talking about a war in which people are being killed and maimed every single day, in which a country has been dismembered by 20%, as you've just pointed out. And it's really important to bring this war to an end. This war doesn't get better. It gets worse as time goes on. It gets worse. It actually threatens to spill over into other areas. So it needs to be stopped. That's why the president's made it a priority. And that's what we're focused on. Concrete actions by both sides, especially the Russian side, to bring this conflict to an end. And we're going to do everything we can to make it happen. Is it possible? I don't know, but we're going to try. We've tried. We've spent a lot of time on this issue. We have a lot of other issues to focus on, but the president's made this a priority, and he deserves credit for that.
He does. He does, and it's just interesting how the left does not want to give Donald Trump any credit whatsoever. They want to attack him for meeting with Vladimir Putin, the man who's orchestrated a war on Ukraine. They're attacking him for his tweets. I agree to a degree that his tweets seem to put a lot of the burden on Ukraine, but here's the reality is that Volodymyr Zelensky insists they will give up no territory whatsoever. The Ukrainians are going to have to give up territory, and now 70% of Ukrainians recognize they're going to have to give up territory. One of the few who doesn't is the president of Ukraine. I support Ukraine. I support funding Ukraine to kill the Russians. But at some point, the war's got to end. They've had territory taken from them. The Russians have doubled down on the territory. The Ukrainians haven't taken the territory back from the Russians. So at some point, it's going to behoove the Ukrainians to recognize that they're going to have to give up some territory if they want to end the war, and then they can stockpile arms and landmines to keep the Russians from reinvading.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1220 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. A little bit of volume on the west side of I-285, the west side perimeter, 285 southbound from Hollowell Parkway. A lot of those right lanes jammed up trying to ramp onto I-20, the west freeway. 75 northbound, also slowing out of Marietta into Kennesaw from Highway 5 up to about Chastain Road, just volume there. And a tree still down, North Side Parkway northbound, right near Northside High School. This report brought to you by whyrefi.com. Is private student loan debt ruining your life? It doesn't have to. Just go to whyrefi.com. That's whyrefi.com and get your life back. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
The U.S. is investing up to $1 billion to fight the spread of bird flu.
At the top and bottom of every hour.
Traffic congestion around Metro Atlanta continues to cost commuters.
And when it breaks.
The suspect is in critical condition after being struck multiple times.
Check back 3, 4, 5 times a day for the latest.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
This is Scott Slade, updating my health story. I get a checkup every year, and last September, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number on my lab work. Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options, and I'm more optimistic than ever about a good outcome. Now, when we're talking about our health, level with your providers if you think you have a problem. We all need expert eyes looking us over every so often. That's where virtual imaging can be invaluable. Virtual Imaging's LDCT body scan can give you time and options for early treatment, especially for cancer. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. For a limited time, Virtual Imaging is extending their core body scan offer for only $995 per scan. That's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response that they've opened up more times in both offices. But appointments will fill up fast for this offer, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. That's virtualimagingatl.com. Do it now, while you still have options.
If you're seeing cracks in the walls upstairs, downstairs, or outside, maybe even a door not closing, call the Foundation Repair Specialist. Hi, it's Mark Beckham here with Atlanta Ramjack, and we are your leading foundation repair experts. Set up your free estimate right now at atlantaramjack.com.
Hey, business owners, do you have managed IT services where it's somebody else, not a full-time in-house on the payroll guy managing your computers? You should check with Vision Computers for managed IT services. At least get a quote from them. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. You could save a lot of money, and your employee productivity could go up. Why? Because instead of creating a ticket every time something breaks, they can talk to a real person. So a lot of studies are out there. Y'all know them. Employees don't like to create IT tickets. They kind of feel dumb when they have to. Instead, they can get on the phone in 15 seconds or less, get the answer to what's going on. It's shockingly low compared to what you're probably paying right now, and it's 15 seconds or less on the phone. It's the biggest no-brainer in business tech support. Vision Computers. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them Eric sent you. At least talk to them. What do you have to lose? Get a quote from Vision Computers for their managed IT support. Call them at 404-COMPUTE nationwide.
Got a leaky pipe? Trouble with your AC? Ace Hardware Home Services is right around the corner with trusted pros to fix it. From plumbing to heating and cooling, we'll keep your home running smoothly all year long. Get help today at acehardwarehomeservices.com.
Save money by getting pre-approved for your next auto loan at Coosa Valley Credit Union. We offer the most competitive interest rates in the market, as low as 3.49 APR when you open an account with direct deposit. This is Andy Harris, President of Coosa Valley Credit Union, inviting you to stop in a branch near you. You'll experience kinder banking with real people, not automation. Plus, with 11 locations in Northwest Georgia, we're always local and nearby.
Contact 706-235-8551 for more details. Equal Opportunity Lender.
Summer was fun, but now it's time to reset and refresh your home for fall with Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $139. And we'll throw in a free hallway cleaning. Just mention WSB Radio. That's a whole lot of clean for a great price. Book your appointment today at ZeroResAtlanta.com and mention WSB Radio. That's ZeroResAtlanta.com. Zerorez, it's the right way to clean.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. All the information without the spin. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
Greetings, conversationalists. I should let you know I don't actually have a call screener today. He had a outpatient procedure. I told him to stay home and rest, and I'm at the flagship station, and it was just a convoluted mess. So nonetheless, I'm here. We've got, let's see, right now happening at the White House, looks like Italian Prime Minister Meloni is arriving at the White House. She's outside shaking hands with, looks like Monica Crowley there to greet her at the door, headed into the White House. All the European leaders coming in. Now, this is the thing. Trump likes her a lot. Some of the European leaders he really likes, and they are concerned that he may, based on his statements overnight, possibly, well, do a little bit too much to help Vladimir Putin, and they're a little bit concerned, and they got a right to be concerned because they want the United States engaged on this. I know none of you want to spend your money helping the Ukrainians, and the way that Trump has it structured now, it is we don't spend our money, the Europeans spend their money, and in the process buy our weapons, and that's actually a great thing for all of us around. So when we come back, I actually want to spend a little bit of time talking about how we navigate this process and what do we actually do to, well, help the Ukrainians, and what do we actually do to navigate this situation. And there are some opportunities, I think, for the United States to play a very constructive role in bringing peace about. But the wild thing here is just the hostility of the American left. They really can't bring themselves. This is a partisan thing on both sides. People, if I would ever compliment Biden on doing something that actually was a good thing, you'd get people on the right who would be insane about it. But on the left, it's like institutionally, they can't bring themselves to acknowledge that maybe it's a good thing we actually sit in a room with Vladimir Putin. By the way, they're attacking Donald Trump for this. Barack Obama put Medvedev, the man who wants a nuclear war with the United States, in the beast, like rode him around in the presidential limo. So spare me your outrage over Donald Trump meeting with Vladimir Putin. Partisanship has its limits. It was one of the founding ideas in the country that Hillsdale College talks about in its different classes on the Constitution 101 and the founding of the early republic. And you can take some of their great classes by going to Erick, E-R-I-C-K, erickforhillsdale.com. Sign up with Hillsdale College. You don't pay a penny for this. You know, we started my kid back at college, moved her into the dorm on Thursday. She starts class tomorrow. And my son is intrigued because on campus on Tuesday is a college fair, and Hillsdale's going to be there. He really wants to go to Samford, but he's kind of intrigued by Hillsdale as well. So we'll check them both out. You can check out Hillsdale by taking one of their classes for free with their great faculty. Their video lectures online. Each lecture is about 30 minutes long. Depending on the class you pick, it depends on how many lectures there are, but the 30 minutes long, you do it at your own pace. And then you get a certificate of completion. You don't pay a penny. EricForHillsdale.com. There's surely a subject out there, from math to chemistry to politics to philosophy to literature to history. There's a subject out there you're interested in, and you can learn a lot about it. Education, not indoctrination, with Hillsdale College. You go to Eric, E-R-I-C-K, EricForHillsdale.com today. Sign up with Hillsdale College and let Hillsdale take care of you. EricForHillsdale.com.
He's the guy at the desk next to you.
Why do you always go after the game show host of The Price is Right?
He's your co-pilot for the ride home.
Don't tell me how to handle my life.
Eric Von Hessler.
Or anyone else.
Today at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's 12:30. I'm Austin Eller. This news brought to you by Jim Ellis Automotive. Our top story is happening now. A group of European leaders have arrived at the White House ahead of meetings with President Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to discuss peace in the war in Ukraine. Follows Trump's meeting with Russian President Putin in Alaska.
What we might be looking at is like a Chapter 5 NATO agreement, as in European partners, NATO partners, would be in charge of some security guarantees for Ukraine, and that might mean the United States.
Charlie D'Agata reports the meeting between Trump and Zelensky is expected to get underway in the next hour. A public memorial service is announced for the DeKalb County police officer killed in the line of duty during the shooting attack on the CDC. Officer David Rose will be remembered at 11 a.m. Friday at First Baptist Church of Atlanta on North Peachtree Road. DeKalb CEO Lorraine Cochran Johnson says the community is welcome to attend to honor the fallen officer's legacy. That service will also be live streamed for those that can't attend. The Air Canada flight attendant strike continues for a third day, and workers say they're only paid when the plane they're on is in motion.
This union says that they should be paid beyond that window of time when, for example, flight attendants are transiting from one aircraft to the next aircraft.
Tom Hansen reports workers defied government orders to return to work. A small number of flights at Hartsfield-Jackson have been impacted. The city of Atlanta opens a cooling center today as we march toward the low 90s. That is at Selena S. Butler Park, and they say it'll remain open until 6 o'clock this afternoon. That park's on William Holmes Border Senior Drive, and officials are also providing bottled water for those that go to that facility. We have live team coverage of traffic and weather up next. It's 12:32.
Summer can be a lot of fun, but summer can also stink. You're outside enjoying the yard, but what is that smell? Hi, I'm Shannon, the owner of Scorpion Septic. That foul odor is the summer heat telling you that your septic system needs Scorpion Septic.
Take the sting out of septic service with Scorpion Septic, where there is never a pump-out charge with your repair. Details online, scorpionsepticservices.com.
ScorpionSepticServices.com. Dave Baker here for Cool Ray Heating and Cooling. It's August, which means school is back in session. Hey kids, remember homework? Cool Ray will help keep you cool while you study at home. Right now, Cool Ray is offering up to $2,250 back in rebates and free installation with the purchase of a complete Carrier system. You know, proper insulation is like a summertime sidekick for your HVAC, keeping cool air in and hot air out. Simply go to CoolRay.com to book your appointment today. Cool Ray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
You've probably heard that constipation and IBS can all be related to a lack of fiber in your diet. Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you or someone you know suffers from constipation or IBS, let the Bread Beckers show you the way to more fiber and regularity and to better health without swallowing a pill or a bad-tasting drink. At the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber from real whole grains. A healthy, affordable, and delicious solution for your family that can change your life. This is not like the enriched bread you buy at the grocery store. It's real bread. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Hey, it's Scott Slade for FGA Roofing. If your home's exterior could use an updated look, or maybe one of your neighbor's designer roofs has caught your eye, and your current roof has started to show its age, then now's the perfect time to check out FGA Roofing for the latest in architectural shingles, timberland shingles, and more. Slate, tile, wood shake, cedar roofs, FGA has them all. FGA Roofing offers 0% financing for 12 months with your good credit. Get the roof you want now and pay over time. Click firstgaroof.com. That's firstgaroof.com.
It's 12:34. Time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Still watching a few brake lights through Kennesaw on 75, both north and southbound between 575 and Chastain Road. And they're cleaning up this down tree in northwest Atlanta on Highway 41 northbound, right near Northgate Drive. That's almost right out in front of North Atlanta High School, so just be mindful of that. And you got construction and a lane shift in Buckhead on Piedmont Road southbound between Lennox Road and Peachtree Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy, hot and humid today, high 93. Just a slim chance of an isolated pop-up shower through the afternoon.
It's 88 degrees in Conyers, Austell, and Midtown. More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Hello there. Welcome. There is a rumor that Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General of Missouri, is heading to D.C. to become a deputy director of the FBI. There's no confirmation, but this does sound very much like this is a thing that is happening. Let's see if the rumor, I'm texting him right now, if the rumor is true, congratulations. All right, now we must move on to the European leaders headed to the White House. The British Prime Minister has just shown up. War is not something anyone wanted. So there is this idea that people want forever wars, and it's a lie started by people who want to be isolationists, and they've really convinced themselves that if the United States just packed up, came home, took all of our soldiers out of every country everywhere, and left the world alone, that everyone would be fine and we would at least be safe and we would be unbothered. And it's simply not true. And they have an easy argument because it's based on an alluring lie that proves a negative. They can argue this because they know it's not going to happen. And so they can always say, well, if we had it my way, we wouldn't have any wars and we would be safe. Well, you're never going to have it your way, so it's easy for you to say, we had it your way once, and what did we get? World War I, and we tried it again, and what did we get? World War II. The United States is the leader of the free world. If we leave the world stage, you're not going to get peace in our times. What you're going to get is a world that aligns against the United States because we have the strongest economy for now. Global exchanges are based on the dollar. Why? Because we're the leader of the world. If we pack up and come home, well, that's not going to last. We have the international calling prefix. Those of you who never call abroad, there are all sorts of numbers that you have to put in before you call someone overseas. 011 or 097. You know what? When you want to put the international prefix in for the United States, you know what you put in? 1. Why? 011 is the United States. Why? Because we're number one. We lead the world. We invented the phone. We lead the world. We are the first prefix for calling internationally. You want to give all this stuff up? All transactions globally, for the most part, there are a growing body of exceptions thanks to the BRIC nations, but those transactions are in American dollars. It saves us money on transaction rates, on exchange rates. It saves us on interest rates. As bad as our inflation is, it's less than other places. As bad as our unemployment is, it's better than other places. Why? Because we're the number one global economy. We're the global powerhouse. You pack up, you leave the world, you come home, that goes away. China becomes dominant. And China's friends, Russia and Iran, become dominant. Do you really think they're going to be friends with you? And you know what's so interesting is a lot of the people who are the most isolationist say America first, rah, rah, but they're going to be subservient to the Chinese. Do you really think that your First Amendment's going to get you very far when the Chinese are the global powerhouse that says, okay, you can have your First Amendment, but nobody's going to trade with you favorably anymore if you keep allowing people to say these things. You can't give up on the world stage, and that means American leadership, and that means American leadership abroad, and that means American leadership over what to do with Ukraine. The leaders of the world are showing up right now. I'm watching live coverage of the White House here. Melania has shown up. The British Prime Minister is showing up. Volodymyr Zelensky showing up. He's not going to wear a suit. His designers say, bad look, I think, for it to be leaked out that way by Politico, that his designers say. He's not wearing a suit. He should probably wear a suit. I think that's ridiculous. The Finnish president, Alexander Stubb, has just arrived at the White House. The European leaders are concerned that President Trump is going to let Ukraine hang. And one of the reasons is because the Russians have shown themselves to not be at war with just Ukraine. There have been, particularly Finland, as the Finnish prime minister or president arrives, there has been a massive sabotage operation throughout Europe that we know and they know are the Russians. In Finland, communications corridors have been sabotaged, power transformers have been sabotaged, transmission lines have been sabotaged, undersea internet cables in the Baltic Sea have been sabotaged, Russian ships were in the area at the time. It's not just Ukraine. But concurrent to all that, if we want peace in Ukraine, Ukraine's going to have to give up some land. And if I listen, if you're a longtime listener to this program, you know I'm a big defender of Ukraine. I want the Ukrainians to kill the Russians so we don't have to. But it seems pretty clear to me that at this point, you're going to give up land to the Russians. If you want to have peace, you're going to give up some land. You're going to give up some land because the Russians have now entrenched in that area. You can't get it back, so you're probably going to have to give it up. A lot of that area is native Russian speakers to begin with. You're probably going to have to give up some land. And I think that the Ukrainians are going to have to come to terms with that if they really want peace. And I think most Ukrainians have come to terms with that. And I think the Europeans recognize that we're not going to get the Russians out of that section now. They've doubled down. They have fortified their positions. It'll be very hard to get them out. But what we can do is we can arm the rest of Ukraine. We can give them security guarantees. We can move soldiers into the western portion of Ukraine, but the isolationists won't like that. It's been very interesting to see Marco Rubio be on television as much as he has over the last 48 hours because the J.D. Vance wing of the party, the vice president's wing, is very isolationist. Matt Whitaker, who was an acting attorney general and a deputy attorney general, is now an ambassador. He is the NATO ambassador. He was on with Dana Perino talking about what's coming today with the Europeans.
Well, it is a huge day at the White House today. President Trump will meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and then after that, he will sit down with European heads of state. Now, this is all part of a big diplomatic push to bring peace to Ukraine. And U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matt Whitaker, joins us now. Great to have you here. Can't have a better guest this morning. One of the things that the European Commissioner President said is that this is welcome to them because the issue of security guarantees is on the table. Watch her here.
Welcome President Trump's willingness to contribute to Article 5-like security guarantees for Ukraine. And the coalition of the willing, including the European Union, is ready to do its share.
Can you elaborate on that to the extent possible before this meeting?
Yeah, well, certainly that is going to be the number one topic, I think, today, in addition to President Zelensky responding to what President Trump heard from President Putin on Friday. And the security guarantees, when you talk about Article 5 like guarantees, obviously the security guarantees would be outside of NATO because Ukraine is not a member of NATO. But a lot of the members of NATO, especially in this coalition of the willing she mentioned, which is Great Britain, Germany, France, and several other big European countries, are going to be providing that assistance. They obviously want the United States involved. The United States provides certain capabilities that aren't available to anybody else on the globe. And so that discussion is going to be a big part of what the Europeans today talk about with the president.
How does all of this get secured? Like, what is when we say guarantee and it's a possibility of U.S. involvement, how do you understand U.S. involvement in this case?
Yeah, ultimately that's up for President Trump to determine. A lot of it could be command and control, doesn't necessarily need to be American troops, but at the same time, obviously, Ukraine and the European countries would love the United States to be involved in some way. I don't expect, but we'll see. We'll see how President Trump negotiates this.
What are the security guarantees? Listen, I think the president cut a really good deal with NATO allies. They buy our weapons. We know they're going to convey them to Ukraine. They convey them to Ukraine. Ukraine stockpiles the latest and greatest tech. It gives us money to build even more latest and greatest tech for us. We're able to rearm. We're able to stockpile. Ukraine is able to arm. Europe is able to fund it on their dime, not our dime. It's a good guarantee. And maybe, just maybe, that there are greater security guarantees that we can agree to. I'm not sure. But I think it's got to be possible. And I think what the left has to do is get it out of their head that somehow everything Donald Trump does is carrying water for the Russians. He's not carrying water for Vladimir Putin. Even Bill Maher called this out on his program on Friday night, that this is a zombie myth that Donald Trump is in the pocket of the Russians, but everyone who hates Donald Trump sees everything through the lens of he is in the pocket of the Russians. He's not. He just doesn't want war. He did not start wars his first term. He doesn't want war now. He recognizes as president, though, he's got strategic obligations to keep the United States safe, and sometimes that means dropping a bunker buster on Iran. But if we're going to have peace, if we're going to end this war, it just seems painfully obvious, even to people like me who strongly support Ukraine's right to defend itself, that they're going to have to come to terms with giving up some land. They can't insist on returning the whole country. They lost. They don't have to completely surrender, but they're going to have to give up some land. Now, I understand there are people who say, well, swapping land for peace is not necessarily a great deal. That's true. But with security guarantees, it becomes a pretty good deal. With Israel gave land to Gaza. What do? They built up a terrorist hotbed of Hamas, and they reinvaded, and now they're at war, and everybody's blaming Israel. The land for peace deal, it was a bad option for Israel, but there were no international security guarantees for Israel. Put in security guarantees, and maybe, just maybe, we can wind this thing down. I support allowing the Ukrainians to kill the Russians, and if they're using European dollars and not our dollars, so much the better. At some point, we have to recognize that the Russians are not our friends, and they don't want to be our friends. They are friends now with China and Iran, two countries that are opposed to us. The Russians are opposed to us. But we have an opportunity to at least wind this down if we're realistic. And I don't think it's realistic at this point to insist to Ukraine that you can have everything back. You're not going to have everything back. You made a mistake believing that the Russians would keep you safe to begin with. The Americans should keep their promise to keep you safe. But that's going to require a surrender of some level of land. And we will arm you and stockpile you with weapons and landmine your border so the Russians can't cross in without great difficulty into the rest of your land. But something's got to happen in order to get some level of peace. And if the Europeans come to the White House today and insist, let's expand the war, I think that's a foolish thing. If they want to actually find peace, then they're going to need to all pile on Volodymyr Zelensky and say, you're going to have to give up some land, give up some territory, and we'll keep the rest of you safe. And here's what we're going to do to keep you safe, and here it is in writing, and we'll guarantee it. But end the war so we can focus on China, because China in Taiwan is going to be the next big fight. And what we do here echoes into that fight as well. Swiss America has been the trusted leader in this country for 40 years with precious metals, and they've been warning people about a secret war on cash. They would love to help you safeguard your hard-earned cash from the secret war, but you need their free report to do it. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, and they can educate you on protecting your assets. Their report, The Secret War on Cash, takes less than 15 minutes to read. You can save on your retirement finances. You get a free copy by calling or texting 800-289-2646. The All-Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency, and it's growing. So get and read The Secret War on Cash report completely free from Swiss America. Just mention my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK, or call them or just text them my name, Eric. Follow the link. It's 800-289-2646. Let Swiss America help you. Message and data rates may apply.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1250 Cool-Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Right lane construction in the cab, 20 eastbound past Wesley Chapel Road, exit 68. So heads up for that if you're heading out toward Lithonia. Transitioning to the northwest side perimeter, 285 westbound. The right lanes are jamming up between New Northside Drive, Powers Ferry, and I-75. And then up in Woodstock, Cherokee County, heads up for a crash shutting down Highway 92 eastbound at Ragsdale Road. Police on scene. You're forced to turn onto Ragsdale Road. Then you can make a U-turn and get right back on Highway 92 east. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Save up to 40% on back to school with Lunchbox favorites made without 300+ banned ingredients. Now through September 2nd at Whole Foods Market. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
More local news.
Folk ground stop at the airport. Meanwhile, Governor Kemp reacting.
More traffic.
Interloop injury crash, 2 left lanes.
More weather.
This thunderstorm is capable of producing a quick spin up.
Atlanta's Morning News. Tomorrow morning at 5.
Wake up with 95.5 WSB.
How Atlanta starts its day.
If you've ever organized your closet only to have it look like a bomb went off in there 1 month later, then it's time to call Artisan Custom Closets. Dave Baker here with a custom spacious closet from Artisan. You'll never have to deal with all that clutter again. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Hi, this is Candace from Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. But today, instead of giving you a home remodeling tip, my tip is don't just take my word for it. For over 20 years, you've heard me on the radio sharing remodeling advice. But if you really want to know what sets Exovations apart, go read our reviews. At exovations.com, you'll find hundreds of real stories from real homeowners who have trusted us with their exterior remodeling projects. From decks, siding, windows, doors, paint, roofing, porticos, and so much more. You'll see words like amazing work, incredible experience from start to finish, and again, stress-free. That's not just what we say, it's what our customers say. So yes, I'm Candace from Exovations, but don't just listen to me. Listen to our reviews. At Exovations, we do projects on time, on budget, and without all that stress. Google Exovations or visit EXOVATIONS.com.
If you own a Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, or any European import, come see us at Rocco's European Garage. Better value than the dealership, upfront and clear pricing with customer approval prior to us beginning, and a 3-day appointment window to get you back on the road quicker. Rocco's European Garage.
Hey Atlanta, it's Jonathan Geller at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. You know, my dad was on the air with WSB before I was born, and in all that time on talk radio, a couple of things have stayed true. It's a little hard to know who to trust, and things stay pretty unstable. Here's what's always been true. You can trust D. Geller & Son. 3 generations of Atlanta shoppers have. We've had Atlanta's best quality jewelry at the best value since 1939. The whole month of August, get 0% APR financing for 60 months on your next jewelry purchase at D. Geller & Son in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Voice be heard. Text ARMY to 33777.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Big day on a certain network. Over to you, Joe Scarborough.
We will become MS Now, which stands for My Source for News, Opinion, and the World. And look, Andrew, they even have a graphic up. I like it.
There it is.
Actually,
The new logo.
It looks very sporty.
PMS Now. Can you imagine the reporter? What is she? I didn't say anything to you. What? Nothing. I said nothing. I'm angry. No, I'm not. I'm not angry. They even have a little flag before the MS that actually looks like a P. I mean, they're just following it. But here's the thing. It is the most unoriginal logo. Like there's no customization of the font. It's like Arial and Times New Roman or Georgia 1, and it's not original at all. It is not original in any way, shape, or form. Their little flag looks like the Human Rights Campaign, the little blue square with the yellow equal sign in the middle for the gay rights group. It kind of looks like that. It's not original at all. And boy, we can riff on the PMS Now instead of the PMS NBC Now. And God bless them. But here's the larger issue here. In all seriousness, I'm not a fan of the network, but in all seriousness, it's not original. It's iterative, and I do wonder if they used AI for it. Because it does not look like, we joke about hiring McKinsey consultants, but you hire McKinsey consultants to do something that is more unique than iterative. And it's not compelling. It's going to be still the same people yelling at you every day that democracy is under attack, but now with more jokes about it being PMS now. Democracy is always under attack until they get their way. Democracy under threat. They're going to have the same people doing the same thing with a very uninspired new logo and name that's just iterative. I'm curious to see what CNBC does. I still think it's a dumb idea for NBC to spin off CNBC with MSNBC. I kind of understand why they're doing it, but CNBC is like the credible network within that company. I watch CNBC on a daily basis. It's a good network that's very balanced and business oriented and pro free market. I'm going to be interested to see what they do. Are they going to be See Now? I have no idea. It's dumb. It's a very dumb thing that they did. When we come back, this is actually too good not to talk about. A woman in Oregon has decided to play the left's games against the left, and she is shutting down windmill projects in the state of Oregon, all because she's using the same environmental regulations the left uses to shut down nuclear power plants and oil and gas refineries and oil and gas extraction. She's using the exact same tools. And this plays into a larger story Chris Rufo exposing. We're at the New Yorker. They haven't had a white male fiction contribution in years there. And it turns out that one of their most prominent journalists years ago was a diehard racist who claimed that white people were responsible for lice and every ailment on the planet. Very, very bizarre stuff. All of these stories are actually related together. I want to spin them together when we come back. But first, the environmentalists freaking out about someone using their own regulations against them to shut down windmills.
We've all been
Jam
there.
starting at Langford Parkway.
Counting the minutes before we know we're going to be late because we couldn't count on a traffic app.
Jammed from I-85 down towards Ponce.
There is one thing you can count on. Triple team traffic on WSB.
Stay slow once you're inside the perimeter as well.
We know the highways. We know the streets. And we know the shortcuts.
75 northbound heading up to Cobb County through Marietta and Kennesaw.
And all you need to do is listen.
More experience.
More reliable. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Triple team traffic.
95.5 WSB. How Atlanta gets there.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780. Don't wait. Call now. 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB. Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 1 o'clock, I'm Austin Eller. This news brought to you by Dr. Roof. Our top stories happening now. European leaders arrive at the White House for discussions on the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is expected to arrive shortly. President Trump met with Russian President Vladimir Putin last week.
President Trump said that you don't really need a ceasefire. You can go directly to a peace agreement, which is something that Putin has been pushing for and something that really alarms Zelensky and other European leaders who say Putin needs to prove that he is going to stop the killing first.
Nancy Cortez reports Putin reportedly wants to keep land in Ukraine that Russia already occupies. It's 88 degrees right now in Midtown, hot and sunny this afternoon. There is a small chance of an isolated storm. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. All new this hour, the Fulton County Commission will take up a proposal this week to solve problems at the Fulton County Jail.
To build what we call a special purpose facility for mental health, medical health, or other special needs, and to make critical repairs to the main jail at Rice Street.
Commission Chairman Rob Hitz says a team developed the plan using recommendations of a federal monitor. The cost, $1.1 billion, with the facility done in about 5 years. Atlanta police released new information on a recent murder. The woman's body was found at a storage unit on Campbellton Road in southwest Atlanta. That victim's now identified as 29-year-old Alexis Harlow, and police believe she was shot to death and had been dead for at least 24 hours before her body was discovered. They're asking anyone with information to contact them, and Crime Stoppers is also offering a $5,000 reward in that case. Details are released for a public memorial service to honor a police officer.
Friday at 11 a.m. at First Baptist Church, Atlanta, located on North Peachtree Road. It is open to the public, but a large turnout is expected, so people are encouraged to arrive early to ensure a seat and to go through security protocols. The 33-year-old father of two with a third on the way died August 8th when a gunman fired hundreds of rounds at CDC buildings on Clifton Road. Rose was shot by the suspect soon after arriving on scene. For those who are unable to attend the service, it will be available on a live stream on the county's online channel. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
We've got live team coverage of traffic and weather up next. It's 1:02.
Our weather can be crazy. Dry for days and drenched with storms. Extreme heat to bitter cold, and your roof takes all the abuse. Dave Baker for Findlay Roofing, the roof guys. If your roof has problems, it may be showing you signs. Inside, look for wet spots on the ceiling or walls. Outside, check for streaks and stains or granules in the ground. If you find these, think of Findlay first. The perfect match for any roofing issues, and they offer 0% financing. Schedule your free roof analysis at findlayroofing.com. Roof.
At Ameris Bank, we know that it's never just business when it's your business. I'm Brian Parks, head of commercial banking in Atlanta for Ameris Bank. Whether your business is looking to optimize cash flow, improve your payment technology, or grow more quickly, my team and I are here and ready to help with a superior level of service, smart banking technology, and local market expertise. I invite you to reach out to my team by visiting amerisbank.com/yourbusiness or a local branch near you. Ameris Bank, fiercely yours, member FDIC.
Attention men, does ED and PE have you down? Well, great news. Choice Men's Health has the latest breakthrough treatments that can get you up and running. Meet the specialist who is dedicated to helping you perform better than ever in the bedroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katz, Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Our custom treatment plans have a 98% success rate at improving ED and PE on your very first visit, even if Viagra and Cialis have failed. Regardless of your age and medical history, we are here and dedicated to help you regain your love life.
Don't wait. Call Choice Men's Health now. We are so confident we can help. For a limited time, we're offering to cover your first treatment for free. Call 404-400-1170. Call now to claim your free treatment. 404-400-1170. Results guaranteed on your first visit or it's free. 404-400-1170. Choice Men's Health, the only choice for your health.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. For the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Atlanta's best plumbers call Deep Dive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have your pipes working again. DeepDivePlumbing.com.
It's 1:05, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is live at the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Got a new trouble spot in Midtown Austin. It's a crash, 85 southbound, right at 17th Street, exit 84. 2 left lanes are blocked, so you're starting to get slower back up toward the Buford Spring Connector. And I just found a new crash down by the airport, 285 westbound, the interloop just past Riverdale Road, exit 60. Looks like a big rig and a dump truck tangled it up here. Second right lane is blocked right next to the airport. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Epwards. Partly cloudy, hot and humid today, high 93. Mainly dry, though an isolated pop-up shower can't be ruled out. Lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, not quite as hot with a high of 89. Wednesday, partly cloudy with a few pop-up storms, high near 90.
Right now, it is 90 degrees in Forest Park, 88 in Mableton, also 88 in Midtown. More news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. Delighted to have you with me. I would give you the full number, but there is no point because I don't have a call screener today, and it's okay. Program Directors of America rejoice. But text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to bring your attention to a ProPublica story of all things. You know, the left-wing site that did the stories harassing Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito. It's not just a ProPublica story. It is a ProPublica Oregon Public Broadcasting joint project. This is so delightful. In the 1970s out in Oregon, the political left started passing new regulations to make it virtually impossible to build nuclear power in Oregon. And now conservatives are using it against the left, and the left is outraged. So just listen to this story here. During the outcry against nuclear power in the 1970s, liberal Oregon lawmakers hatched a plan to slow an industry that was just getting started. They created a burdensome process that gave the public increased say over where nuclear power plants could be built. And the leading anti-nuclear activists of the day used appeal after appeal to delay proposed nuclear plants to death. It had a huge impact. Oregon's first commercial nuclear plant, the one that spurred lawmakers into action, was also the state's last. What those lawmakers didn't plan for was that 50 years later, an Oregon citizen activist would use the same bureaucracy to hinder some of the very energy products today's liberals want, wind farms and new high-voltage lines needed to support them. They didn't plan for Irene Gilbert. She is the hero of this story they're trying to vilify. The 76-year-old retired state employee former gun store owner and avid elk hunter from La Grande, Oregon, is on a mission to keep turbines and transmission towers from blighting the rural landscape. She's filed more challenges to energy projects, 15 in all, including lawsuits, than anyone in the state. She says she kind of has a reputation. Renewable energy advocates treat activists like Gilbert as relentless gadflies who need to be stopped for the good of the planet. They say Oregon's slow process for approving energy projects with its endless appeals is one reason the state ranks near last in the country for green energy growth. Democratic leaders up and down the West Coast are reckoning with liberal policies of the past that they say clash with today's progressive agenda. In California, for example, Governor Gavin Newsom recently signed a rollback of environmental review laws to expedite construction of affordable housing. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek has pushed to roll back her state's land use restrictions for the same reason. But Oregon's leaders have been far less aggressive in confronting the historical artifacts that critics say hold green energy back. One, the Depression vintage federal agency that runs most of the Northwest power grid, which has set a sluggish pace for upgrades. The other, the energy siting system Oregon created long ago for nuclear power. In the past 5 years, the Oregon legislature has repeatedly rejected or watered down bills to streamline permitting for energy projects. The efforts included legislation supported by renewable advocates as well as farming and land conservation groups, both of which share Gilbert's concerns about development in rural spaces. In response to questions from Oregon Public Broadcasting and ProPublica, the governor's office acknowledged existing significant impediments. Gilbert was retired from a career in state government, was running the Oregon Trail Trader gun shop with her partner in La Grande when she first heard about the Antelope Ridge wind farm. It was 2009 and only a handful of wind farms existed, but an energy company wanted to erect 180 turbines. Energy infrastructure was a sore spot for Gilbert. Decades ago, she married into a ranching and timber family, and a chunk of the forest she owned was bulldozed for transmission lines. She had a stark memory of how quickly a business can erase a beloved part of rural Oregon. Now that she's older, she wanted to give back, and she was motivated to help farmers and others protect their land. And so she keeps speaking against it, and she keeps writing letters, and she keeps suing. They want you to know, by the way, she's a committed Republican. But they say she's not opposed to clean energy. She has a cabin with rooftop solar panels. She said she doesn't believe in the need for large-scale solar, but she did support a solar farm in the Columbia River Gorge after developers listened to public input and took steps to reduce the impact. Fuji Creeder, a liberal Democrat from New York, is friends with Gilbert, and they are campaigning against the transmission lines. They're hippie rednecks and environmentalists, they say, and the left is outraged. This is hilarious. So now, I've read you from a piece of this article. Now let me read you from Alex Stapp, who is a leader at IFP, a think tank for accelerated scientific progress. A single NIMBY retiree can spend all her time suing to block wind and transmission projects from being built. Activists are using the rules built to block nuclear power in the 70s. Ms. Gilbert has filed more lawsuits against clean energy products than anyone else in her state. And while she doesn't always win, that's the point. The process is the punishment. Now, I told y'all that on Friday, didn't I? When the left keeps suing the nuns or keeps suing Jack Phillips, it's Sisyphean punishment for them. They roll the rock all the way to the hill, they win, and the left shoves the rock down the hill and says, do it again. Irene Gilbert is doing it to the left. And so this guy laments, say goodbye to your net zero goals if you make it this easy for one person to block clean energy products. It's the litigation doom loop. It's not about prevailing in court. It's about inflicting large costs on developers and creating massive uncertainty about where the legal challenge will end. Our system makes it so easy for even just a single person to do this. The system is extremely biased towards people with too much time on their hands, and it's another direct result of this kind of bad faith litigation. Planning documents get longer and longer in order to head off the lawsuits. It's why it can't be said enough. These people often have insane views, and we can't let them dictate our future. She claims she's doing it because the U.S. might not have enough land to grow food. Y'all, this is hilarious. The left is upset at a retiree doing what the left does because she's doing it against them. She's essentially doing what Chris Rufo has made a habit of. She's using the left's systems they built to advance their agenda against themselves. Chris Rufo, you will recall, waged the war against critical theory and against discrimination, and now he's been blocked by the New Yorker. He's blocked by the New Yorker because it turns out that one of the star readers or writers of the New Yorker is a serious racist. What's funny is that David Remnick, back in 2020, after the George Floyd stuff, wrote a piece called Getting White People to Talk About Racism. And they literally now have a writer on their payroll who believes that white people are genetically evil animals responsible for life, syphilis, and planet destruction. And the people of the New Yorker won't say anything. And by the way, it turns out as well that at the New Yorker, they haven't had a white man write a fiction submission in more than a decade, it seems. The New Yorker writer Doreen St. Felix has said some really wackadoo things on race. And decades-old tweets, she was exposed for her racism. She has deleted her Twitter account now, but not before people screenshotted the tweets. But here's the thing. They were like, well, her tweets are a decade old. Yes, and you know I'm a big defender of people who decade ago said things they don't believe now, except St. Felix has for years believed these things. To be honest, whiteness fills me with a lot of hate. Can't really be a prude about it anymore. I'm often angry and hateful about it, she wrote in 2015. But here's the problem. It's now 2025. And she still believes a lot of the things that she said in 2015. And Rufo's just using the systems against the left. The left came after, remember the kid, he was the football player, got the scholarship, and they found out like in 2010 he used a gay slur when he was like a 13-year-old in college, and they demanded that his college scholarship be revoked because he attacked someone and he was called things gay and stuff like that. And they wanted to punish the kid. He gets a major college scholarship. He turns into a football star, and the left goes out to get him. They go after all sorts of people on the right for tweets they said when they were 5. This woman in 2015 said she hates white people. That white people are responsible for lice and syphilis and destroying the planet and all sorts of stuff. They give her a cushy job at the New Yorker, where every indication is she still maintains her deeply racist beliefs. What's so interesting is that they can't get anyone at the New Yorker to affirm her views or say anything nice about her. They just say, well, her tweets are old. Her tweets are old. She has views that are even now unacceptable by the modern mainstream left. Modern mainstream left may be sympathetic to her views, but they certainly don't advance them publicly, and yet here she is with a cushy position at the New Yorker. All Chris Rufo is doing is getting the left to play by their same rules, same standards. It's a very interesting activity he's been engaged in. And now here comes this environmentalist in Oregon who's doing the same thing, just using the left's tools, using the left, and they can't handle it when it's done against them. They do not like it when it's done against them. And the acknowledgement is that, yes, the process is the punishment. The process is the punishment, and that's something that comes from Marxist political theory. I told you that on Friday. We spent an entire segment on this on Friday on how the attacks on the nuns in Pennsylvania by Josh Shapiro. They keep winning in the Supreme Court, and yet they're forced to stay in court to advance their wins. It is the process being the punishment. It's like Jack Phillips in Colorado, the baker who doesn't want to bake cakes for trans ceremonies or for gay weddings. They keep suing him and suing him and suing him, and he keeps winning and winning and winning. The process is the punishment. It is a Marxist ideology, and now the left can't take it that people on the right have figured out how to do the same thing to the left. They're deeply unhappy with it. They say the views are crazy. In Oregon now, fights against energy and transmission projects have been a mainstay for Gilbert for more than a decade. She said she sometimes awakens in the middle of the night, struck by an idea about how a rule or a statute might be of use. Most of the people in Stop B2H believe we need more energy, and I agree we need more energy, but we cannot provide the energy needs of this country or this state by taking all the farmland. There's a point where we aren't going to have the land needed to produce food. When Gilbert heard about a bill to upend her main means of objecting, she did not panic. She did what she's always done. She spoke up. On a recent May afternoon in Salem, Gilbert sat on a window bench outside a Capitol hearing room where she's testified against the bill that would get rid of the restrictions the progressives put in place. I remember you, exclaimed Gilbert State Representative, Republican Bobby Levy. You're one of the smartest people. You do your research. Levy said she was working to oppose the bill. Gamba, in the end, was disappointed with what the legislature was able to pass after setting out to overhaul Oregon's energy siting bureaucracy. He said the scaled-back legislation dabbled at the edges. It might shave 10% off approval time for green energy. What did survive was the effort to move lawsuits filed by people like Gilbert directly to the Oregon Supreme Court. Gilbert was dismayed to lose the chance to build a case over time, but it won't stop her. Now that the Boardman to Hemingway line is actually getting built, Gilbert said it'll bring a rash of new applications from people seeking to build wind and solar farms along the power lines route, and she'll be there to file the challenges. She says if nothing else, she's about to be really busy. She will be. And she will be doing to the left exactly what the left does to everyone else, and they sure hate it when you play by their rules.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
121 Cool-Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. A little bit better news into Midtown. The crash, 85 southbound at 17th Street, exit 84. Now on the left shoulder, but you're still seeing the brake lights back to Georgia 400. And picked up a new crash on the West Freeway. Traffic Trooper Joe spotted it. I see it on the jam cam. Left lane blocked. I-20 eastbound just past Riverside Parkway, exit 46. Traffic brought to you by Lead. Traffic and body pain can slow you down, but don't let the pain stop you with just one pill. Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief so you can keep moving. Use as directed. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
If it's happening on the streets of Atlanta,
The Cobb County Medical Examiner's Office identifies 57 sets of cremains.
if it's happening on the roads leading to Atlanta,
Massive project at 285 and Georgia 400 has been a big improvement.
we've got it covered.
Atlanta jurors convict a former Customs and Border Protection officer.
Your 24/7 news source.
Covering the stories that impact you.
Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
When markets get rocky, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Hi, I'm David Nicholas, president and founder of Nicholas Wealth Management. Times like these demand action and a plan you can trust. That's why we rely on our trademark Retire Ready Bucket strategy. This strategy is designed to place a percentage of your portfolio into lower risk, income producing income bucket, aiming to generate steady cash flow for the first 10 to 15 years of retirement. Meanwhile, your growth bucket is filled with dividend and growth stocks, which has time to recover when markets are going crazy. So call Nicholas Wealth today at 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com to schedule a time to sit down with our team to review your plan. This strategy was crafted by experience. It's battle tested, and it's how you aim to keep your retirement on track even when the markets are not. So call Nicholas Wealth today at 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. At Nicholas Wealth Management, we're prepared. Are you? Don't wait for the next headline to shake your confidence. Call Nicholas Wealth today, 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. Nicholas Wealth Management. Retire ready.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Neither the information nor any opinion expressed is to be construed as solicitation to buy or sell a security or personalized investment, tax, or legal advice.
Did you know that eating healthier and more delicious food is not only good for you, but affordable as well? Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. At the Bread Beckers store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber and nutrients from real whole grains. A healthy, delicious, and affordable solution for your family. Eating real bread will satisfy your hunger and greatly reduce the amount of food you need to eat. Plus, your improved health from eating real bread may even reduce the need for frequent doctor visits. That's what Real Bread did for our family. 2 doctor visits with 9 kids in 25 years. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, weight gain, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier, more affordable life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Avoid the stress of listing your home on the market and sell your home fast for all cash with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Hi, it's Chris Chandler. Don't worry about repainting your scuffed up walls or fixing your leaky faucet. Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer allows you to bypass the market, receive an all cash offer, and close in as little as 21 days. There are no showings, no open houses, and no costly repairs. Mark Spain Real Estate makes selling your home stress-free. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780. Don't wait. Call now. 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Taking the complicated and making it simple. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
Welcome back. It's Erick Erickson here. Let's jump over to the White House and see there's a, press conference going on now with the president and Zelensky. If I can pull it up on my machine here.
Can you tell us about your conversations with European leaders and what they need to see to support an end to the war?
Yeah, well, we're going to be meeting with a great representative group and 7 very powerful, very big countries and great people, all friends of mine and friends of yours. And we're going to have some suggestions made. They want to see peace. They would like to see peace.
President you said last
in the
night
red, in the red.
President Trump, do you think it's fair to for Ukraine and for Russia to achieve a lasting and durable peace if Ukraine cedes its territories that Russia hasn't yet conquered? Do you think it's a fair peace for Ukraine?
We're going to have a lasting peace. Just to answer the first part of your question, we're going to have a lasting peace. I hope it's going to be immediately. I hope it doesn't have to go on. And I think people of the whole world is going to be very happy when that's announced.
Mr. President, you posted on social media, Mr. President, a very touching letter from the First Lady. And the letter was hand-delivered to President Putin. And it calls for an end to the war, essentially, because of the children and the children's future. Why did the First Lady feel that letter was necessary? Was it because she believes that Mr. Putin is the aggressor in the war? Is a similar letter being hand-delivered to President Zelensky?
So the First Lady felt very strongly. She's watched the same thing that you watch and that I watch. I see things that you don't get to see, and it's horrible. But when she's got a great love of children, she has a wonderful son that she loves, probably more than anybody, including me. I hate to say it, but She loves her son. She loves children, and she hates to see something like this happening.
And she's also from an Eastern Bloc country and doesn't like the Soviets or the Russians because of the communist treatment of her and her family. So there's that, too. When we come back, if this is still going on, I'll bring it back up for us. Right now, I got to tell you about Vision Computers. If you've got managed IT for your company and your employees are having to send email tickets in and maybe wait 24 hours for a response or something, they could get a phone number to call with Vision where 15 seconds or less, somebody answers the phone and gets them back up and running. They can even remote in and take care of the computers. Vision Computers is world-class service. They can save you some money, and here's the thing, they can increase your uptime. And your employees don't have to try to type in an email and explain what's going on when they don't know. They get on the phone with someone from Vision who knows computers. 15 seconds or less, they answer the phone. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. Tell them I sent you. You might save some money. And by the way, if you're in the gig economy and you need Vision while you're sitting at the coffee shop working on your laptop and you need someone who's always there to help, they can help you too. Just $199 a year per computer. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Call Vision. Let them help you with all of your computer needs. Tell them Eric sent you. VisionComputers.com.
He's the guy at the desk next to you.
So if you can't handle your real face, then don't tell me how to handle my life.
He's your co-pilot for the ride home.
They have a lot more money now because they stopped kneeling.
Eric Von Hessler.
Things are going to get broken.
Eric Von Hessler.
Today at 3.
95.5 WSB. Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News.
Weather.
Traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's 1:30. I'm Austin Eller. This news brought to you by Ben Hill Renovations. Our top stories happening now. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has just arrived at the White House for discussions on a possible peace agreement in the war in Ukraine. He's meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office along with a group of leaders from Europe. Trump speaking just moments ago.
I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has reportedly called for Ukrainian land occupied by Russia to move ahead with a possible peace in the war. South Fulton's embattled mayor reverses course on his decision not to run for re-election this fall. Mayor Khalid Kamau now says he will seek another term. Kamau, also known as Mayor Kobe's, faced questions about his spending of city money. Councilwoman Carmelita Gomes and the city's first mayor, Bill Edwards, have already announced that they are both running for the position. A public memorial service is announced for a fallen DeKalb County police officer.
Officer David Rose, a recent police academy graduate and Marine veteran who deployed to Afghanistan, was killed when a single gunman opened fire on the CDC campus on Clifton Road on August 8th. His pregnant widow and 2 children will be joined by family, friends, and his colleagues, as well as the general public, to honor his memory in a service at 11 a.m. Friday at First Baptist on North Peachtree. Seating is on a first-come, first-served basis, as is the available on-site parking. The service will also be streamed online through the county's digital platform, DCTV 23. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
It's 1:32. We've got live team coverage of traffic and weather up next.
Hey, homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now. Our research shows the #1 fear for retirees: uncontrollable economic and market swings. And after the last 5 years, that's totally understandable. But here's the good news. Happy retirees are twice as likely versus unhappy to have a financial plan. A plan can calm those worries. My team at Capital Investment Advisors would love to help your family build a plan you can feel confident about. Just pick a time that works for you at yourwealth.com. That's YOURwealth.com.
Got a leaky pipe, heating, or cooling issue? Ace Hardware Home Services is around the corner with everything you need to fix it, including the expert to do the fixing. We're not just the helpful hardware folks. We're the helpful home service and repair folks, too. From plumbing to heating and cooling, the licensed and insured experts at Ace Hardware Home Services are ready to keep your home running smoothly all year long. Online at acehardwarehomeservices.com or call 770-233-7780. 87.
Belinda Skelton here with Atlanta Vision Institute's very own Dr. Ashraf, who is one of the most experienced eye surgeons in the country. Dr. Ashraf, we've all watched the news and the economy is uncertain, but failing eyesight isn't. And if you've held back due to finances, we've got good news for you, don't we?
Yes, Belinda, as you know, our eyesights degrade as we age. And with the laser optics procedure, that resets all of that. And most of my patients go most of the day without glasses. They can even read their phone without glasses. And in terms of the economy, most of these patients, their medical insurance can cover most of the costs. And if it doesn't, we have a lot of good financing options for this procedure.
That's awesome, Dr. Ashraf. I urge you to take the quiz to see if you're a candidate. Go to 2020atlanta.com. That's 2020atlanta.com.
It's 1:34, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Let's check in with Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Travel advisory inbound on the West Freeway, Austin 20 eastbound. This crash past Riverside Parkway, exit 46, has 2 left lanes blocked. You're slow from Thornton Road. Use Highway 78. Earlier crash in Midtown on the left shoulder, 85 southbound at 17th. And still got a crash investigation shutting down Highway 92 eastbound at Ragsdale Road in Woodstock. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. A mix of sun and clouds today, hot and humid with a high of 93. Lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with an isolated pop-up storm, high 89. Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds with pop-up storms in the afternoon, high near 90.
Right now it's 90 degrees in Sandy Springs and Decatur and 89 in Midtown. More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Happening right now, the president and Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office. They're taking questions from the press. Let's go back to it.
Long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. Would I like the concept. You know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But all of these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire.
Can you explain the decision to offer Ukraine Article 5-like security guarantees, but stop short of pushing for their full membership?
Yeah, well, we haven't done anything on that yet. If you look back and you go back long before President Putin, it was always a statement that they would never allow Ukraine into NATO. So that was a statement that was made, but we haven't discussed any of that yet. We're going to be discussing it today, but we will give them very good protection, very good security. That's part of it. And the people that are waiting for us, they are, I think they're very like-minded. They want to help out all.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President Trump.
Are you disappointed there's no
The United States has already given hundreds of billions of dollars to this war effort in Ukraine. At best, it is a stalemate, and the killing continues.
This is Peter Doocy.
So, President Trump, how much more is the United States willing to give Ukraine? And President Zelensky, how much more do you want?
Well, I'll start off just by saying we're not giving anything now. We're selling weapons. This is something before, I guess the number is well over $300 billion. That was under Joe Biden, a corrupt politician, not a smart man, never was. By the way, go back 40 years, he was not a smart man 40 years ago either, but now he's in particular bad. This was done by a corrupt administration that shouldn't have been in, and frankly, if the right results of the election were given, if I were president, this war would have never taken place, and he would have been very happy, because he would have liked to have seen. I mean, they went through hell. He went through hell. This war would have never happened, and the people that were killed, a couple of million people, a lot of people with soldiers and everything else, and the people that have been displaced and forced into other areas and other countries because of what's happened, none of that would have happened. And I'm just saying that he was a horrible president, whether it was the borders or this. He was just a horrible, corrupt president.
Mr. President, I can. Thank you so much. So first of all, we have possibility now to buy weapons
from the United States. We are thankful for this program and this opportunity. We are thankful for Europe. They pay for this. And through NATO program, for example, Pearl and etc., we have some programs where we can have some money to finance this. And this is a part, I think, it's not a part for the war and to defend us. It also will be a part for security guarantees, to strengthen our army, to rearm Ukrainian army. This is very, very important. And it depends how much money we need to rearm. For example, the question of air defense, we spoke about it with President Trump, and I'm happy that we have now bilateral decisions and we work on it with production, American production. Nobody in Europe has so many air defense like Patriots, for example. We need it very much, and this is also about defending.
I think the good news, we make the best military equipment in the world by far. You mentioned the Patriots. How good are they?
Yeah, systems.
We have systems, they're literally 100% foolproof, and it's really like shooting two bullets, two bullets hitting each other in the air in a space like this. The chances, 100%. It's 99 to 100%. So we sell the equipment to NATO, and NATO does what, I don't know what the arrangement is that you have with, but I know that they want you to have the equipment. And we're getting the best equipment in the world, but they pay us for the equipment. Under Biden, it was just crazy what was going on. I believe the number is over 300. I think it could be $350 billion worth of equipment and money and everything else. And we've made more progress in settling this war in the last 2 months than they made in 4 years. This should have been settled a long time ago, but it should have never happened. Yeah, please.
Real quickly, you pushed out on social media.
All right, Brian, go first.
You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important
Well, that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened. Massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want change in the machines.
Really is off topic when you got the president of
all of the money
Ukraine there. I mean, if you're unfamiliar with this, the president this morning tweeted that he wants states to get rid of mail-in ballots, that they need to at the federal level. He's going to try to pass a law in Congress. This comes after a candidate in Minneapolis was seen doing ballot harvesting, piling a bunch of, but here's the catch. In Minneapolis, my understanding is it's actually legal to do that, where you can go out and collect everybody's ballots and shove them in. The guy wound up winning this election by 76 votes in Minneapolis.
Very important. Paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected. Because with men and women's sports and with transgender for everybody and open borders and all of the horrible things, and now the new thing is they love crime. They're fighting me on the fact that I've made Washington, D.C. safe. We're not going to get mugged, beaten up, or killed like all the people you've been watching get so badly hurt. I'm glad, I hate to take your time with this, but I'm glad you asked me that question. Sorry. We're going to stop mail-in ballots because it's corrupt. You know, when you go to a voting booth and you do it the right way and you go to a state that runs it properly, you go in, they even ask me, they asked me for my license plate, for identity. I said, I don't know if I have it. They said, sir, you have to have it. I was very impressed, actually. But it's very hard to cheat with mail-in voting. As you know what happens in California, it's so corrupt, where some people get 5, 6, 7 ballots delivered to them. Now, we got to stop mail-in voting, and the Republicans have to lead the charge. The Democrats want it because they have horrible policy. If you have mail-in voting, you're not going to have many Democrats get elected. That's bigger than anything having to do with redistricting, believe me. And the Republicans have to get smart. We're not going to have a country I said for a long time at rallies, you need borders and you need free and fair elections. Those two things, otherwise you don't have. We have strong borders now. In 90 days, Mr. President, we didn't have 0 in 3 months. Not one person came in illegally into our country. In fact, even I find that hard to believe, but it's run by a little bit of a liberal group that put out the numbers, so I guess it's, but 0, 0, and 0. You go back a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 millions of people poured into our country. It was terrible. Thank you very much.
All right, let's listen to him here if we get back on topic.
Guarantees do you need from President Trump to be able to make a deal? Is it American troops, intelligence, equipment? What is it?
Everything. Really, it includes two parts. First, strong Ukrainian army. That's what I began to discuss with your colleagues. And it's a lot about weapon and people and training missions and intelligence. And second, we will discuss with our partners. It depends on the big countries, on the United States, on a lot of our friends.
And Mr. President, are you willing to commit American troops to that NATO-like protection in order to get President Zelensky to a deal today?
Well, I don't know if you define it that way, but NATO-like, I mean, we have people waiting in another room right now. They're all here from Europe, biggest people in Europe, and they want to give protection. They feel very strongly about it, and we'll help them out with that. I think it's very important. I think it's very important to get the deal done.
All right, that's the President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House, and you hear the president say that they're down with the security guarantees. They're actually willing to do security guarantees backed by the United States to be able to help the Ukrainian people. That probably means stockpiling American weapons, but European troops on the ground, so not NATO. They're being very, very cautious here about saying it's not going to be NATO because they don't want to convey, but essentially it is NATO. I mean, NATO is buying the arms from the United States and sending them into Ukraine. I suspect what they mean by not NATO is it's not going to be American troops. So it'll be every member of NATO except probably the U.S. and Canada, but maybe Canada will go along with it. It'll definitely be a European Union force inside Ukraine. And it sounds like if there are the security guarantees, you may get some wobbling commitment from Ukraine on acknowledging that they've got to give up some land. The president and the European leaders will be meeting here shortly in the White House. I'm going to keep my eye on this, disrupt whatever the show is today, because I think it's probably more important that we hear out what's going on inside the White House with the European leaders. Now, here's the thing as well. Some of the European leaders, they've been a little bit seething behind the scenes about President Trump, his summit with Vladimir Putin, his quest to get peace and the like, and if something the president wants to avoid is being seen as a flunky for Putin. He doesn't want people to buy into the left-wing talking point against him. So he wants to stand with the European leaders, and the European leaders know that if they come out and blast the president as giving too much to Putin, that gives them some little bit of leverage that they want on Donald Trump, and he doesn't want to give them any leverage at all. It is, by the way, a myth. It is a myth of the broken left that Trump is a flunky for Putin. But he doesn't want to give oxygen to it. He does want peace in Ukraine. At this point, my suspicion, and I have no inside knowledge on this one, but my suspicion just based on prior statements made is the European leaders are going to want to get Zelensky in the room with them and say, guy, you're not getting your whole country back. It's not going to happen. So what can we give you with what you have left to make sure the Russians don't take more? Because that's the underlying fear here, is that the Russians will continue to try to take Ukrainian land. They'll have a peace, they'll recover their soldiers, they'll build back up, and they'll reinvade. It's something everyone wants to make sure doesn't happen. And it's something that we can make sure doesn't happen if we stand with the Europeans on this, get Ukraine to give up some of their land to the Russians that the Russians already have. and then stockpile weapons and soldiers to make it very, very painful if the Russians dare to try again. I mean, landmine that territory so they can't cross. Do whatever can be done to make sure the Russians can't invade. It's possible if there's a will to do it. Parents and grandparents, listen up. Old Glory Bank knows that if we want to protect the future economic strength of our nation, it starts with teaching our kids how to manage money. Right now, most schools aren't teaching budgeting, managing credit, or even how to reconcile a bank account. And yeah, Gen Z, these are all things you need to learn. The good news is kids do want to learn it. My kids ask questions about it all the time. My son, now in 11th grade, wants to do the Dave Ramsey program. The kids want to be smart and independent. Old Glory Bank is starting a free series of financial literacy resources for high school and college students to help them build strong money habits early and make smart choices for life. So parents and grandparents, these resources are for you too. Use them at the dinner table as part of homeschool, connect and pass along real-world wisdom on finances. Go to oldglorybank.com/smart today. Help build the next generation of money-smart Americans. oldglorybank.com/smart. It's a financial literacy program you can use as part of a curriculum or just part of conversations with your kids to help them start learning good financial sense. oldglorybank.com/smart. Go today, get your kids smarter about their finances, how to deal with money, handle money, get money, and not lose money. oldglorybank.com/smart. Start today with oldglorybank.com.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
149 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still watching this crash on the West Freeway, 20 eastbound past Riverside Parkway, exit 46. Only one left lane block there, but it slowed the ride back at Thornton Road. If you're traveling in Woodstock, heads up for this crash investigation. Still shutting down Highway 92 eastbound at Ragsdale Road. Police there directing traffic through a parking lot, so heads up for that. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Shop back to school deals at Whole Foods Market. Get 32% off select Applegate sliced lunch meats with Prime through August 19th. While supplies last, shop in store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It doesn't have to be like this.
You don't have to put up with it.
Shutting down the ramp from 285 East.
You don't have to sit in it.
It takes almost 30 minutes to go 400 South.
And you don't have to look at your phone to get out of it.
It is Atlanta traffic, and getting you out of it is what we do best.
We had a lot going on this morning through Henry County.
Updated traffic as often as you need it from local traffic reporters 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It's a jackknife tractor trailer.
Triple team traffic.
95.5 WSB.
How Atlanta gets there.
Hi, this is Candace from Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. But today, instead of giving you a home remodeling tip, my tip is don't just take my word for it. For over 20 years, you've heard me on the radio sharing remodeling advice. But if you really want to know what sets Exovations apart, go read our reviews. At exovations.com, you'll find hundreds of real stories from real homeowners who have trusted us with their exterior remodeling projects. From decks, siding, windows, doors, paint, roofing, porticos, and so much more. You'll see words like amazing work, incredible experience from start to finish, and again, stress-free. That's not just what we say, it's what our customers say. So yes, I'm Candace from Exovations, but don't just listen to me. Listen to our reviews. At Exovations, we do projects on time, on budget, and without all that stress. Google Exovations or visit EXOVATIONS.com.
Get ready, Alpharetta. Taste of Atlanta is back with Grand Tasting Alpharetta Thursday, August 28th at the Hotel at Avalon. Enjoy all-inclusive bites from over 20 of Alpharetta's hottest restaurants. Sip on craft cocktails, wine, beer, and more. And dance the night away with live music and chef demos on the Publix cooking stage. Tickets start at $95 or save $30 when you join the Bite of News. VIPs get in early with swag and exclusive perks. Presented by Taste of Atlanta, benefiting Second Helpings Atlanta. Get your tickets now at tasteofatlanta.com. This event will sell out.
At the Original Mattress Factory, you'll often hear us say we can't fit our quality in a box. Our customers feel the same way. Here's what an actual OMF customer had to say.
I recently purchased a bed-in-a-box mattress and returned it a month later. I replaced it with a bed from the Original Mattress Factory, and I am beyond thrilled. Don't bother with any of the online mattress brands. Go to OMF and you'll be in great hands. My only regret is not going there sooner.
Come see our quality firsthand at the Original Mattress Factory.
WSB Atlanta,
WSB BFM and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Attention men, does ED and PE have you down? Well, great news. Choice Men's Health has the latest breakthrough treatments that can get you up and running. Meet the specialist who is dedicated to helping you perform better than ever in the bedroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katz, Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Our custom treatment plans have a 98% success rate at improving ED and PE on your very first visit, even if Viagra and Cialis have failed. Regardless of your age and medical history, we are here and dedicated to help you regain your love life.
Don't wait. Call Choice Men's Health now. We are so confident we can help. For a limited time, we're offering to cover your first treatment for free. Call 404-400-1170. Call now to claim your free treatment. 404-400-1170. Results guaranteed on your first visit or it's free. 404-400-1170. Choice Men's Health, the only choice for your health.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Greetings, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Donald Trump is saying that he's going to put Vladimir Zelensky in a good position and take care of the Ukrainian people, different from what you would have been hearing this morning on MSNBC and elsewhere, claiming he was doing Vladimir Putin's work. The level of brokenness you get on TV now based on which camp you're in, it's kind of pathetic to see. I want to turn your attention to a story that the BBC and other international news ran, that Israel killed another Gazan. There were even pictures of the lady, yet again, that Israel killed this woman from Gaza, that she died of starvation. The BBC ran the story. It's now retracted. Yet again, it's funny how it always happens. And it's always making Israel look bad. You see, there's a woman from Gaza who was suffering from leukemia, and the Israelis evacuated her to a hospital in Italy for medical treatment, and she died there of a heart attack. But the British Broadcasting Corporation and other media outlets ran it as another starving Gazan dies at Israel's hands. The Israelis rescued her and got her medical attention, and she died battling leukemia. It's just, when the media keeps making the same mistakes over and over, and it's always one side that's on the downside of the mistakes, that's one of the clear signs of bias. Remember the starving kid? The Free Press actually has a story today highlighting how you how you keep seeing the same child in images over and over again about the Israeli starving kids. And, well, it's the same kid, and the kid was actually had a birth defect, wasn't starved to death, had a serious birth defect. It's just amazing how they do that. By the way, I want to shut down one talking point that's creeping up on the right on Ukraine. I see it being circulated right now. Zelensky of the White House says during a war you can't have elections. It's actually in the Ukrainian constitution, folks. So please stop circulating this talking point on the right. You got 15% of population under occupation. You've got random drone and missile strikes on populated areas in Ukraine. And the Ukrainian constitution says that during invasion, elections cease. The government in power stays until the war is over. So I'm sorry you want Ukraine to have elections, but that's actually what Vladimir Putin wants. Vladimir Putin wants elections in Ukraine, so all he has to do is target election precincts and kill all the people standing in line to vote. This isn't rocket science here. There actually are legit points to be made here. The attacking Zelensky for saying there's no election, that's actually a Russian-based talking point. It literally was seeded by Russian propaganda. We know this. Remember, there was that group in Canada that ran social media campaigns, and the Russians were giving them money to run and launder campaigns and keep the Russian fingerprints off of it. One of the talking points was about Ukraine having elections. So please stop. Please stop. When we come back, we got to get into, of all things, eugenics, because remember the meltdown about Sydney Sweeney and the jeans ad for American Outfitters? Ross Douthat did an interview with a woman in charge of a company in California that literally is engaged in eugenics practices. And the very same progressives who were melting down about the Sydney Sweeney jeans ad are very, 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 very silent about actual eugenics. This company wants to help parents create designer babies through genetic programming and also help people eradicate children with Down syndrome, among other things. It's grotesque. And the silence from the left is very, very telling. We'll also keep an eye on the White House and any developments there. We'll bring it to you as it's happening live right now.
I'm Chris Chandler. When you join us Tuesday, starting at 5 for Atlanta's Morning News, it previews the plan to axe Georgia's income tax, goes before some lawmakers at the Gold Dome, and Clark's renewed warning about renting from this particular company on WSB.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Right now, fresh Georgia-grown Southern peaches or California yellow nectarines are just $1.29 a pound with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
A great way to add value to your home is to improve and upgrade your kitchen, but you're worried about the cost because of tariffs raising everybody's costs on things like this. Y'all, it's Eric. You can go to Frugal Kitchens. You'll get that $1 million look for well under that price. And right now, if you book an appointment, you'll get the Frugal Price Lock, where they will lock in pre-tariff pricing. Google Frugal Kitchens today. Lock in pre-tariff pricing on your redesign of your kitchen. Google Frugal Kitchens.
News, weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. It's happening now. The latest talks aimed at ending the Russia-Ukraine war.
CBS News special report. President Trump is meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House.
We're going to have a meeting. I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
The high-stakes talks are over a possible peace deal with Russia, and it comes 3 days after Trump met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska at a summit that failed to yield a ceasefire. Zelensky wearing a black suit and black shirt.
We need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners. We will do our best for this. I think we show that we are strong people, and we supported the idea of the United States, of personally of President Trump, to stop this war.
Trump says the U.S. will be involved in providing security guarantees as part of a peace agreement on ending Russia's war, and does not rule out sending U.S. troops to Ukraine. CBS News special report. I'm Matt Piper.
91 degrees in Atlanta. What are the chances we see an isolated storm this afternoon? Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. The man charged in a deadly hit and run in Marietta turns himself in, and we're learning today the suspect is a Metro Atlanta police officer.
48-year-old Christopher Bradshaw of Canton has been charged with homicide by vehicle and felony hit and run in the incident last Wednesday on I-75 at South Marietta Parkway. Now comes word that Bradshaw was a Milton police officer. Bradshaw fled the scene after striking and killing 36-year-old Terrell Loudermilk. Loudermilk was struck when he left his vehicle after a separate collision. Loudermilk's family created a GoFundMe page to help with funeral expenses. Lisa Nicholas, 95.5 WSB.
Fulton County commissioners this week take up a proposal to finally solve the problems at the dilapidated county jail.
The $1.1 billion plan will build a special purpose facility for mental and medical health and other special needs, then renovate the Fulton County Jail. County Commission Chair Rob Pitts says this ditches the idea for a new $2 billion jail.
We can't afford 1.1, and the 2 point plus, that was just for construction. There was just no appetite for that, period.
Pitts says this will save taxpayers money while solving safety issues outlined by a federal monitor.
We need to come up with programs to keep people out of jail versus building a jail just to accommodate people, and we're headed in the right direction.
Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
Plans are finalized for a public memorial service to honor the DeKalb County police officer killed in the shooting at the CDC. The ceremony for Officer David Rose is this Friday at 11 a.m. at First Baptist Church Atlanta on North Peachtree Road. It is 2:02. This news sponsored by Brett Becker's. Up next, Live Team Team coverage of traffic and weather.
Hey, it's Shelley Winter. Expect more during the Golden Opportunity Sales event at Butler Lexus South Atlanta, where exceptional service and luxury meet. But act fast. These offers end September 2nd. Visit them now or call 1-800-NEW-LEXUS today.
The purpose, passion, and pleasure of This Stuff Matters is helping as many people as we can. Today, I want to ask you to help me help people. Will you go to our website, thisstuffmatters.net, click the Connect With Us tab, and then give us your thoughts, suggestions, and questions? What matters most in life to you? And how do you think we can be most helpful? Thanks for helping us help others make the most out of what matters most. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
thisstuffmatters.net.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Atlanta's best plumbers call Deep Dive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have your pipes working again. DeepDivePlumbing.com.
When markets get rocky, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Hi, I'm David Nicholas, president and founder of Nicholas Wealth Management. Times like these demand action and a plan you can trust. That's why we rely on our trademark Retire Ready Bucket strategy. This strategy is designed to place a percentage of your portfolio into lower risk, income-producing income bucket, aiming to generate steady cash flow for the first 10 to 15 years of retirement. Meanwhile, your growth bucket is filled with dividend and growth stocks, which has time to recover when markets are going crazy. So call Nicholas Wealth today at 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com to schedule a time to sit down with our team to review your plan. This strategy was crafted by experience. It's battle tested, and it's how you aim to keep your retirement on track even when the markets are not. So call Nicholas Wealth today at 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. At Nicholas Wealth Management, we're prepared. Are you? Don't wait for the next headline to shake your confidence. Call Nicholas Wealth today, 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. Nicholas Wealth Management. Retire ready.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Neither the information nor any opinion expressed is to be construed as solicitation to buy or sell a security or personalized investment, tax, or legal advice.
It is 2:05, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the 24-hour traffic center.
Hey, good afternoon, Bill. Got some better news on the West Freeway. That crash 20 eastbound past Riverside Parkway, exit 46 in Cobb has cleared, all lanes open, so the brake lights out of Lithia Springs will start to improve. Seeing the volume start to increase through Midtown and downtown, 7585 South 17th Street down toward I-20. And crash investigation continues in Cherokee County, Woodstock. Highway 92 eastbound shut down at Ragsdale Road. Police redirecting traffic there through a shopping center. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy, hot and humid today, high 93. Just a slim chance of an isolated pop-up shower through the afternoon.
Right now it's 92 in Gresham Park, also 92 in Fairburn. It's 91 in Canton. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
My fellow Americans, welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. The president is now meeting with European leaders and Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House behind closed doors. He says he will reach out to Vladimir Putin after conversations to figure out next steps to bring about peace in Ukraine, which he again insists there would have been no war had he been president instead of Joe Biden, and I suspect he is not wrong on that point. Also, Brian Glenn is a reporter at Real America Voices. That's the I think Steve Bannon thingy, and he's the guy who provoked the fight last time at the White House over Zelensky not wearing a suit and how disrespectful it was. There was a report out from Politico. Zelensky was going to go in with not really a suit this time. He actually was sharp enough. The president commented that he liked the style. And Brian Glenn points it out, and Zelensky replies to him, "You're in the same suit. You see, I've changed. You have not." Well played there by Zelensky. Now, I will keep our eye on this, but there's another story out there. And this one's kind of weird. And let me start this way. A lot of my friends within the not just the theological community, but the conservative political community are very, 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 very against IVF, in vitro fertilization. And I have serious, serious qualms with in vitro fertilization. However, I have multiple friends so desperate for kids, they used IVF. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I don't have a problem with IVF, but I'm also not going to sit here and condemn the parents who so want kids that they go through IVF to have kids. It's a very difficult decision. What I think is just creepy, however, is where the left is headed with in vitro fertilization from where it already is. And it is problematic. So let me just give you this scenario. If I burn down a clinic that has fertilized eggs in a repository waiting for you, have I committed murder or not? Your answer to that says a lot about your worldview, because that's a life. It is a life in beginning forms, but that fertilized egg is a life. Life begins at conception. You may not recognize that life as a human being, but you can't really deny that life doesn't begin at conception. You can't believe it. I mean, you can believe it, I guess, but it is not true to say it's not life. The fertilized egg, the division of cells, it's beginning. It's life. It is a human being at the very beginning stage. So have I committed murder, or is it a property crime? How you answer that question will begin to shape your worldview on the issues. Over the last several weeks, a bunch of progressives got really outraged about Sydney Sweeney and her genes ad, that she's got good genes, and they were screaming that it was a play on eugenics. Now, you should know there was some nitpicking there, but what the left is now saying is nitpicking. MSNBC ran stories on it. Major left-wing media outlets ran stories criticizing Sydney Sweeney's sales at American Eagle Outfitters went up. Stores got packed as people went in from all the buzz. It got them the recognition. It was an ad campaign that was successful. But there were a lot of progressives upset about it, MSNBC and other left-wing outlets running critical ads. And now what happened was the left got such a black eye from it. They're like, oh, that was nitpicking. There's hardly anybody that was upset about it. MSNBC was running critical commentary on it, and that is your network. If Fox News ran critical commentary on something, you would wrap that article around the neck of conservatives and hang them with it. But MSNBC does. You're like, no one really cared. Yeah, because normal people didn't care and you got embarrassed, so you denied it. Had there been serious outrage enough, though, that Sydney Sweeney came out and apologized or American Eagle pulled the ad, you wouldn't have progressives coming out today and saying nobody cared. They would be taking the win. They were outraged. Not enough people were outraged, and so they've tried to walk back. So nobody was really outraged by that. Yeah, they were. And you know what they're not outraged by? They are not outraged by Orchid. Sydney Sweeney was not actually about eugenics. Orchid is. Let me just read you. This is an interview. Noor Siddiqui is the founder of Orchid. Ross Douthat interviewing her in the New York Times. This is how she describes it. What Orchid can do is it gives parents the power to protect their children before pregnancy begins. What happens today in IVF centers is they're operating essentially almost blind. This really, really critical decision about which embryo to transfer happens with extremely limited information. What happens is the embryo that looks best under the microscope kind of wins this morphology beauty contest and is often the one that's selected. Other times, there's a very limited genetic test that's offered that looks at a tiny fraction of genetic diseases that could affect a future baby. Orchid completely changes that. We're the first company in the world that allows parents to actually sequence the entire genome of an embryo, sequencing 99% of the bases in an embryo's genome, which allows parents to detect risks for some of the most serious conditions: heart defects, birth defects, pediatric cancers, developmental disorders, things that massively change the trajectory of a child's life. And the vast majority of these diseases don't have cures. What's really exciting about this possibility is that now parents have the ability to protect their children from an entire category of disease that previously we had to just hope for the best and wish that our children wouldn't be affected by them. It's a heck of a spin, isn't it? But let's think about what she's actually advocating for. What she's actually advocating for is for you and your spouse to not engage in procreation, but to go into a lab where they take the egg and the sperm and they put it together and leave it in the lab and test it and then implant it in you afterward. That's actually what this is advocating for, is getting rid of the reproductive act altogether. Where again, part of the problem with the sexual revolution and the fallout we've had in society over time is that we have separated the act from procreation. So now the reproductive act is what you do to have a good time. It's not actually to have kids. And there have been, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, societal fallout. And now this is the next step, where you engage in the reproductive act just to have a good time, but to have the kid, you go to the lab, you go to the hospital, and then they do the genetic testing to see whether or not you should kill the kid or not. But it's okay. It's just an embryonic stage kid, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt anyone. They can't feel anything. You're just going to kill it. I take this one a little more personally than I should, in that we've had to do genetic testing on our child because my wife has genetic lung cancer. My wife, we waited for our kid to see. We wanted her to be at the age where she could have the choice. Our son, he'll have the choice when he wants to have the choice. My daughter, by the way, was negative in the testing. She does not have my wife's genes for cancer. We don't know about our son. He doesn't know. And if he has them, it doesn't mean it's a death sentence. If he has them, it just means there are proactive steps he can do to check and over time. My wife has stage 4 lung cancer. When we first got married, she had a double mastectomy. Y'all know it just this is one of the reasons I'm deeply unsympathetic to young people right now who complain about it's too expensive to live. When we got married, we had to pay for my wife to have a double mastectomy because while she was, while we had some level of insurance, it was on her father's insurance. It was Cobra. We were paying a lot out of pocket. She never passed the genetic test. We knew she had them, and so we had to pay a lot more than we otherwise would have for medical costs, in addition to trying to start a family and house, car payments, student loan payments, all of that. We are literally 3 months past our marriage in the hospital so my wife can have a double mastectomy. It turns out now my wife didn't have the genes for breast cancer. She had the genes for lung cancer. Her mom had the breast cancer genes, and her mom's sister had the lung cancer genes, and it's swapped. My wife's cousin has breast cancer. My wife has lung cancer. It's a swap within the family. I understand the desire to want to test your kids if you have something in the family, but you're trying to play God, and that never ends well. All the way back to the Tower of Babel, it does not end well when we as society try to play God, and this woman is bragging about it, and what it is eugenics. I see a guy on social media saying that, isn't it weird how families of Down syndrome kids want other kids to have that disease? It's not a disease. Down syndrome, when you're calling a person with Down syndrome diseased, again, it's another step down the eugenics road. And all the people who are upset about Sydney Sweeney and her genes ad are being real quiet about actual eugenics. This is actual eugenics, and calling people diseased because they have Down syndrome You don't want your child to be born with Down syndrome, but have you met someone with Down syndrome? There is an effort underway overseas to exterminate them. In Iceland, parents are all but required to exterminate their children. And talk to the number of parents who get the test back positive their child has Down syndrome and they give birth and their child doesn't. It happens more often than not. That test is notorious for false positives. How many kids have been executed by their parents because of a false positive test? Ross Douthat engages with this woman in the test, but let me just read you this section. Let's say we decide to pursue the process. What happens next? We go through a cycle of IVF and produce some number of embryos, right? This is what she says. Yes. For people who aren't super familiar with IVF, the way that it works is that you're on medication for 10 to 14 days. What that medication does is it actually synchronizes the follicles in your ovaries, and what IVF does is it captures those eggs. If you're familiar with egg freezing and IVF are actually identical processes. The question is, when you tap those eggs at that retrieval, that happens typically between days 12 and 14. What do you do with the eggs? Do you go ahead and freeze them? Do you freeze them with your partner's sperm? Once you fertilize them with your partner's sperm, those embryos grow for 5 days. On day 5, there are 125 cells. If you choose to use Orchid, 5 of those cells get sent to Orchid's lab. The process to actually sample eggs from embryos you can think of as a haircut. The embryo has an outer membrane called the trapezoderm. Those are the cells that are actually sampled. Basically, what's really powerful about Orchid is that instead of getting that really tiny amount of genetic information, you're able to actually get the entire genome and then use that to make really important decisions. Douthat asked, and this is called whole genome amplification? She says it's called whole genome sequencing. It's the first part of whole genome sequencing is amplification. Amplification means you're copying DNA. So you have a blood or a saliva sample, there's no need for amplification because of the minimum quantity of DNA. What we've invented is a new protocol, a new way to copy DNA. This is just downright creepy. Have you seen the movie Gattaca? So where this heads, this is eugenics. And the people who are upset about the Genes ad are okay with eugenics because they like the idea of designer babies, because it was all a bunch of wealthy white women who were upset about the Sydney Sweeney ad for the most part, and they're the ones who want the designer babies. It's a luxury item, a designer baby. It's always the rich who like eugenics. And here's an entire program catering to them where they can design their baby and kill the ones they don't like. Pain-free to the parents, and at the embryonic stage so the kids don't feel it. But again, if I go burn down an IVF clinic with fertilized eggs, have I committed a property crime or murder? Your worldview will take us down the road, one of which will be a dangerous path, and that's the one where you say it's a property crime. Now, the property crime, they don't want consequences for what they've done.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
221 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Travel advisory on the east side perimeter. Crash leaves only a right lane open. 285 southbound, the interloop at I-20, exit 46. Already stacked up back toward Memorial Drive. Work your way over to Candler Road. Take that south toward I-20, or even use 75, 85 south as alternates. Crash investigation continues in Woodstock. Highway 92 eastbound at Ragsdale Road. Police there rerouting traffic through a shopping center. Traffic brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Now you can win big with Powerball drawings every Wednesday, Saturday, and now Mondays. Play the new third Powerball drawing today. I'm Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Chris Chandler here from Atlanta's Morning News, helping with Paws Atlanta to find a home for our WSB Dog of the Month, Smidgen. She's a 2-year-old or so mixed breed, beautiful brown and white, and looking for a new family. Meet her at WSBRadio.com/dog. Our sponsor, Finley Roofing, will pay the adoption fees. WSBRadio.com/dog.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now. Belinda Skelton here for Atlanta Vision Institute, and I have Stephanie with me. She's a patient of Dr. Ashraf, and Stephanie recently had the laser optics procedure. Stephanie, why did you have the laser optics procedure?
I wanted to be able to not ever use reading glasses again because I got tired of pulling my phone out of my purse when I forgot them to blow things up, and I just wanted to see.
And how was life after laser optics procedure at Atlanta Vision Institute?
Incredible. I could read the bottom of a nail polish bottle. I don't need my readers, never used them since I've had my laser optics procedure. It's been amazing.
What would you say to people who are on the fence about having the procedure?
Do you want to see?
That says it all, folks. Folks, if you want to see like Stephanie, go to 2020atlanta.com. That's 2020atlanta.com.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call 404-390-4000. That's 404-390-4000.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell.
And I'm Monica Pearson. Dale and I have worked together for years, first at WSB, and today helping you find Georgia's best companies and sharing why they're the best.
Monica, one of the first companies I researched and recommended is Amco Transmissions and Total Car Care. For more than a dozen years, they've consistently met my 7-point standard and honored my Make It Right guarantee. And I know you believe in Amco just as much as I do.
Dale, over the years, we've both reported about people getting taken advantage of. So I'm keenly aware what it takes to deliver not just great performance, but great customer service. People who follow my advice literally stop me on the street and thank me for referring them to Amco.
We all need mechanics we can trust for correct diagnosis, efficient repair, and fair price. Not just for transmission repair, but engines, brakes, check engine lights, and so much more. Call the locally owned Amco near you.
And I know their nationwide warranty protects you everywhere.
That's AA.
MCO.
Your friends at Steel Horse Law are motorcycle injury lawyers who ride. They've mastered safely riding our Georgia roads, and they've mastered the unexpected twists and turns of Georgia law. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler for Steel Horse Law, the Stein and Karen Law Group. With all the changes in Georgia law, you need the most experienced local motorcycle injury law firm to protect your rights. You can trust them on the road and in the courtroom. Get a free case evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
He may not tell you what you want to hear, but he tells you what you need to hear. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello, my friends. It is Eric Erickson. The phone number is 877-973-7425, and that is such by habit because I don't have a phone screener today. He had a little outpatient procedure. I got a text from him. He's home and well now. We are keeping our eye on the White House. We're expecting European leaders to come out for a photo op with the president here shortly. We've got flags of all the European nations there. Zelensky is there. So we saw President Trump meet Volodymyr Zelensky at the front door of the White House. We have people on the right spreading a conspiracy theory that he showed up in a T-shirt. He didn't. He was in a suit. We have people on the left claiming that he showed up in Washington with no red carpet and no one to meet him. He literally showed up at the White House with the President of the United States at the front door. In fact, the picture that's circulating is from Zelensky going to Saudi Arabia last year. That's this is where we are. Neither side really cares about the truth. They care about just attacking each other. Well, elements of each just want to lie and stir the pot on stuff, which is just nonsensical. He had a good meeting at the White House. The president, by the way, is not ruling out sending troops to Ukraine. He has been asked point blank about this, and he says they want to give protection, and we will help them out on the issue of whether or not we send troops to Ukraine. He's not saying no. He's not saying yes, but he's not saying no. It's a problem here, people. It's a problem that we have people who are just trying to stir the pot and incite both sides as opposed to what's actually happening out there. Now, one of the groups that's advocating common sense conservative reforms is Americans for Prosperity, but it's not just common sense conservative reforms that they're pushing. They're also trying to get you to think about our 250th anniversary. It's a great time to focus on what makes the country special, and AFP wants you to. Americans for Prosperity. Ronald Reagan said freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed down for them to do the same. And that's why Americans for Prosperity wants you to remember freedom in this country, and they're launching a campaign called One Small Step. It kicks off with the 250,000 Steps for Freedom Challenge. Every American can take a meaningful step towards a more perfect union. At your local level, you do things to remind yourself and your community about the freedom that we have as a nation, what makes us the greatest nation. You go to afpvolunteer.com to learn more and sign up. afpvolunteer.com. Not only that, but you can engage in the political process with AFP. They make it very useful and handy for you. They get you engaged. They get you educated. They get you motivated. They teach you how to contact your local and state and federal government officials to advance meaningful conservative reform in the country. Go to afpvolunteer.com today and take the 250,000 Steps for Freedom Challenge. afpvolunteer.com.
The news of the day through the eyes of Eric Von Hessler.
It's the only way to do any kind of reform of the federal government.
If it's on your mind, it's on his.
I don't remember.
Eric Von Hessler. Today at 3.
Who are you speaking for?
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Kayaccio with our top story. It's happening now at the White House. President Trump meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Trump says substantial progress is being made to end the Russia-Ukraine war.
We're going to make sure that everything's good. We'll work with Russia. We're going to work with Ukraine. And we're going to make sure it works. And I think if we can get to peace, it's going to work. I have no doubt about it.
Trump and Zelensky will meet before European leaders join them for talks. The suspect accused in last week's hit and run that killed a truck driver in Marietta is an officer with the Milton Police Department. 48-year-old Christopher Bradshaw of Canton is charged with homicide by vehicle and felony hit and run. He turned himself in on Friday. Marietta police say Bradshaw was driving a Chevy Silverado that struck and killed 36-year-old Terrell Loudermilk of Chattanooga, who had gotten out of his big rig after a crash with another truck at South Marietta Parkway. Almost 20 new businesses are coming to Buckhead's Lenox Square Mall. Ownership says women's clothing store Good American, Levi's, Kelly Cajun Grill, and Starbucks are among those opening at the mall this year. Simon Property says there's been a recent shift in Lenox's customer profile to more Gen Z and millennials. Nighttime construction on a big water main replacement project in DeKalb County may cause some delays for drivers on Claremont Road this week. Crews say they'll be working between Tanglewood Circle and Buford Highway each night from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m., and that's going to require a lane shift and lane closure on Claremont in the overnight hours. It is now 2:32. This news is sponsored by FGA Roofing.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging's LDCT body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Beckers in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers.
Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Y'all, there's a way for you to beat tariffs and still get that new kitchen you want. You Google Frugal Kitchens. Right now, you book an appointment with Frugal Kitchens. They're going to give you the Frugal Price Lock, where you're going to be able to get your kitchen remodeled with Frugal Kitchens for a great price with $1 million look, and you'll lock in pre-tariff pricing. Google Frugal Kitchens today, book your appointment this month, and you'll save big and increase the value of your home with that kitchen you've been wanting. Google Frugal Kitchens today.
It is 2:34, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the 24-hour traffic center.
Some better news on the east side perimeter of the crash. 285 southbound, the inner loop at I-20 exit 46. Now on the right shoulder, but it's stacked up the ride back through Clarkston from Highway 78 to Stone Mountain Freeway. Also slow on the west freeway, 20 eastbound from Riverside Parkway over to the west side perimeter, while 285 south, the outer loop, you're on and off that brake pedal. South Cobb Drive down to I-20 in Fulton County. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. A mix of sun and clouds today, hot and humid with a high of 93. Lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with an isolated pop-up storm, high 89. Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds with pop-up storms in the afternoon, high near 90.
Right now, 91 in Cartersville, 90 in Riverdale. It's 93 in Duluth. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Link politics and culture with clarity.
Greetings, welcome. It is Eric Yergin here. We are monitoring the situation in the White House, and if anything changes, I will bring you as much as I can. We're watching. There's no reason to pull up these analysts who don't know any more than I do sitting here. We'll just wait for the leaders to see if there's a Q&A here. Right now, so the New York Times ran a piece over the weekend that I missed, and it's worth highlighting for you. The boy crisis of 2025. Meet the boy problem of the 1900s. In the early years of the 20th century, America had a boy problem. Boys on the streets making trouble. Boys becoming truants. Boys getting caught up in crime. The problem spread across the U.S. alongside the disruptions of technological change, immigration, and growing socioeconomic inequality. Policymakers stepped in with universal public schooling, for example. But it was the civic response that was extraordinary. In less than a decade, most of today's major child-serving organizations were founded. Big Brothers in 1904, the Federated Boys Clubs in 1906, the Boy Scouts in 1910, the Girl Scouts in 1912, and 4-H in 1912. Many boys and men are struggling today, too, in an America once again disrupted by technological change, immigration, and growing inequality. Since 2010, suicide rates among young men have risen by a third. They're now higher than they are among middle-aged men. The share of college degrees going to men has fallen to 41%, lower than the women's share in 1970. 1 in 10 men aged 20 to 24 is effectively doing nothing, neither enrolled in school nor working. That's twice the rate of 1990. This crisis demands a response equivalent to what the progressive era delivered, not just in public policy, but in our civic institutions. Today's leaders have been slow to recognize the extent of male troubles, in part because of a fear of being seen as somehow anti-woman. But alarm bells are ringing. And of course, they begin to cite a handful of progressive governors like Governor Gavin Newsom just signed an executive order that was hard to imagine a few months ago. It offers a comprehensive plan to tackle what it describes as California's growing crisis of connection and opportunity for men and boys. Mr. Newsom said the order was about showing every young man that he matters and there's a path and purpose for him. Let me actually give you some data. This is from Brad Wilcox, who's a professor at the University of Virginia and a fellow at Family Studies and AEI. He's got lots of data that relates to the crisis of young men in the country that the left doesn't want to really acknowledge. When the New York Times acknowledges it, which they don't do in this piece, we'll know how to solve the problem. Young men who grow up in non-intact families are more likely to go to prison than graduate from college. Young men who grow up in intact families are more likely to graduate from college than go to prison. It's kind of wild. You want here's the prison or college graduation for young men by family structure. Among intact families, 9% go to prison, 38% go to college. Among blended families, 19% go to prison, 13% go to college or graduate from college. Those with single mothers, 19% go to prison, 15% graduate from college. Those with single fathers, 27% go to prison, 14% graduate from college. Among adopted parents, 27% go to college, 23% graduate from college. Among intact families, again, 9% prison, 38% graduation from college. The only other number that comes close is among adopted families. By the way, Brad's got a book on this. If you look for Brad Wilcox, he's got a book out from HarperCollins called Get Married, and it breaks down this data. It's well-researched, well-documented. And by the way, it's not in dispute by major family studies groups on the left or the right that stable parent households that are not divorced give more stable kids, more opportunities, more likely to advance in society, transfer intergenerational wealth, which is necessary for a lot of kids these days. Broken families are worse off for kids. Now, listen, I know that some of you, you're kind of cringing when I say that because you're divorced and you're like, don't blame me. And look, I understand. I'm just telling you what the data says. Don't yell at me for giving you the news here. And among those families, by the way, you should note, who are divorced, the number one separating identifier is, do the dads have a relationship with the son? If in a divorced household, the fathers have a good relationship with the son is still less likely to go to prison and more likely to be a productive member of society. Dads have a real role here. And here's the problem. And I want you to know my experience because I talk about this, for example, on Father's Day. On Father's Day every year, I tend to talk about how, use the example of Noah and the ark. It was, he found favor with God, and so his kids were able to be on the ark. It wasn't the kids, it was the dad. Dads matter. There has not been a year. I've done that. I have mentioned that for probably 10 years on radio. I have literally never done it without a mother emailing me angrily. What about the single moms? When I talk about moms for Mother's Day, I never get an email from an angry father. What about the dads? It is always a single mom who feels slighted or insulted. And I'm sorry, and I really am not trying to be belittling or insulting or anything like that. But if you can't recognize that dads matter, and yeah, there are some really crummy human beings who happen to become fathers in this world, and some of you women out there who are single moms have a really raw deal. But for the people who are out there who are young men who are thinking of having kids or are fooling around and might create a kid by accident, you got to understand that you having a role in your child's relationship really matters. Across socioeconomic lines, the young men least likely to engage with porn are the ones who have a relationship with their father and their father tells them it's bad. among young women, the young women who are least likely to have a teen pregnancy are the ones who have a relationship with their father. The kids who marry and stay married are the ones who have a good relationship with their father. Moms, I'm not disparaging you. Yes, you matter. But we spend a lot of time talking about moms and single moms and the fight they have. And this society has downplayed fathers. You go find me a commercial where the father's not the blithering idiot. Go find me the TV show where the father's not the butt of the jokes. We have overcorrected to a degree. Dads deeply matter in the lives of their children. And by the way, parents combined moms and dads together. And of the kids from divorced households, those who have the best relationship and whose divorced parents have made a go of it to get along for the sake of the kid tend to have better outcomes than those who the divorced parents hate each other. But I'll tell you what Brad Wilcox data says, and this is something a lot of you are going to send in hate mail about. But it's the data. Again, it's not me. The parents who stay together for the sake of the child until the children are grown and out of the house do better, even though the parents want a divorce and they don't like each other anymore. The ones who stay together for the sake of the kids, their kids do better. That's just the data. It's not even in dispute by organizations on the left or the right. There are lots of individuals who take offense at it and say, you want me to stay in this marriage with this awful person, blah, 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 blah. No, but I will tell you that the data shows that if you do, your kid will be better off. That sometimes it's about your kids, not you. That's not to slight people who are divorced. Sometimes you got to have divorce. I counseled a friend of mine to get a divorce. I'm in seminary. We know divorce is a sin. I counseled a friend of mine to get a divorce. In their particular circumstances, it was the appropriate thing for them to do for the sake of their family, to get a divorce. Sometimes it's not easy. I'm just telling you what the data shows. And so when you have the data and you have the knowledge of what happens, if you do get a divorce and you do have kids, you can understand that engagement with your kid is really important. And if you're a single mom of a son, having your son surrounded by good men in a church in particular is one really good way to help your son. This is one of the problems with the left now. This op-ed in the New York Times spends a lot of time praising Democratic governors for the things they've done for young men, but not a single one of them is encouraging young men to get involved in church. Not a single one. And actually, young men who go to church, like a real Bible-believing church. I'm not talking Episcopalian here, like Urban Center got a rainbow flag out front church. I'm talking like a Bible-believing church that believes the Bible is the inerrant word of God. Those kids in divorced households, those kids turn out fairly normal. Surrounded in a church of believers. And in fact, the families that go to church and are involved in the church community are the least likely of any in this country to get divorced. You know, it's one of the funny things with statistics where we say, oh, people who go to church, they get divorced at just the same rate as people who don't go to church. Well, the self-identifiers, do you go to church? Yes, I go to church. They look exactly like the non-church people. But when you actually survey, how often are you actually in church? Those who go multiple times a month have the lowest divorce rate of any group of people in the country. People who are committed to a faith have the lowest divorce rate in the country. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm telling you what the data says. And you should know what the data says, because if you haven't lived your life that way, there are ways to, fix the problems, particularly if you've got a young son. We have a crisis of malehood in this country. It's why so many young men are turning to people like Andrew Tate. They're looking for strong male leaders. They have an idea from popular culture of what the strong male leader looks like, and they're turning to the least good person to get advice on what it's like to be a man, and it's not going to turn out well for them. All that is to say, again, the data shows overwhelmingly fathers engaged in their kids' life matters more. Extremely. And the left, it's funny in these conversations that they can't actually engage in the society. It's interesting to me that they come up with these solutions on the left on how we're going to we're going to fix the problem of broken men in society. And you know what's so interesting is that they can't actually fix the problems of the soul, and so they can't fix the problems. The socio-political problems are actually not nearly as important as the spiritual problems involving young men in life. I'm telling you what the data says. There is a crisis of young men and boys in this country, and they're being lured to the internet to brash voices that will ruin them, getting them involved in a faith community and surrounded by men who actually care about them and their character matters greatly. Now, I got to tell you, at the White House right now, they are standing at a photo op. They're taking some questions from the crowd. They've taken their photo. They're turning around. They're walking away. They're not really taking a lot of questions as that they go further down the White House. The president with Volodymyr Zelensky there talking to him as they get out of range of the camera. Again, there wasn't a lot of Q&A there with the European leaders. They're going to go have their conversations and meet together, eat together, and figure out what they're going to do about Ukraine. But maybe the president can bring this war to an end. Now, you can bring noxious odors to an end with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You get 3 of them. Save $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. Eden like the Garden of Eden. Pure as the driven snow. EdenPureDeals.com. Put in the discount code ERIC3. In fact, when you go to EdenPureDeals.com, you will see on the front page of that site, radio and podcast. Welcome, listeners. Enter your code. You put in ERICK, the number 3, no space. You click the submit button. Your savings are added to your card, and you see the Eden Pure Thunderstorm Oxy 3 air purifier. This is their newer air purifier. It kills up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses. It breaks barriers in air purification. It's super compact. It's super quiet. It's super powerful. It purifies the air better than even a lot of HEPA filters. It generates ozone. It latches on to odors, and it wipes out those odors. It traps dust and pollen and pet dander. It's small. It's portable. Plug it into the wall or plug it up with a USB cord, and it just works. You go to EdenPureDeals.com, put in the discount code ERIC3, ERICK3. You get 3 of them for just $187. That saves you $200. You get them for less than $200. It's a great deal. EdenPureDeals.com.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
250 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Been dealing with a left lane stall 20 westbound at I-285 exit 51 over there in Fulton County. I think it might have cleared out of the roadway, but nonetheless, it's called 285 south, the outer loop to slow from South Cobb Drive, as well as 285 north, the inner loop brake lights from Cascade Road. Delays improving 285 south, the inner loop through Clarkston into Cobb County. Earlier crash at I-20 exit 46 now off to the right. Traffic brought to you by True Natural Gas. They could report aliens have landed, but that wouldn't be true. Here's something that is true. True Natural Gas offers low rates and great customer service. Visit TrueNaturalGas.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
More local news.
Newton County authorities crediting the Georgia State Patrol ground stop at the airport. Meanwhile,
More traffic.
One crash on I-20 westbound.
More weather.
The tornado threat has appeared to come to an end for Henry County.
Atlanta's morning news.
Tomorrow morning at 5.
this is a complicated, controversial subject.
Wake up with 95.5 WSB.
How Atlanta starts its day.
That spot on the ceiling, it's only gonna get worse. Hey, it's Dave Baker from my experts at Findlay Roofing, the roof guys. Findlay now has 0% financing available, so it's even easier to get your roof replaced. FindlayRoofing.com.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune in to Retire Ready with David Nicholas of Nicholas Wealth Management Saturday at 6 to get answers to your retirement. Nicholas Wealth is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Serving my country required sacrifice. Sacrifice that changed my life forever. I remember the day I came home. Because of my injuries, this house wasn't right for me anymore. I remember the narrow doorways, the small bathrooms, the shelves out of reach when in my wheelchair. Every day was full of obstacles. I felt trapped. I remember a better day, the day my family received a specially adapted custom home from Homes for Our Troops. That day changed everything. Now we have a safe and accessible home to enjoy the freedom I fought for. This place, our home, is exactly what we needed to rebuild our lives.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Let's jump back to the White House. The president is speaking now, surrounded by the European leaders there.
As a foreign dignitary, and I liked him from day one. And I like him even more now. That's pretty good. That's unusual. That's a pretty unusual thing. Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, who's a really a great leader and an inspiration over there. She's served now, even though she's a very young person, she's served there for a long period of time relative to others. They don't last very long. You've lasted a long time. You're going to be there a long time. Chancellor Merz of Germany, who is a very strong person and a very strong leader and very highly respected in Germany. And he's my friend, and it's an honor to have him as my friend. Thank you very much. Very good. You look great with your tan. Where did you get that tan? I want to get a tan like that. President Stubb of Finland, and he's somebody that, where are we here? Where? Oh. You look better than I've ever seen you look. But you've done a great job, and we wanted to have you here because you're somebody that we all respect. And you've had a lot to do with the success, I think, and the potential success. And thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. And the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, who is somebody that we just made a big deal with all of those countries. I don't know. I think you might be more powerful than all these guys at this table. I don't know. But we had a great negotiation, and you're respected all over the world. So I want to thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor to have you. The Alaska Summit reinforced my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider, and we're going to be considering that at the table also, like who will do what, essentially. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated, but we're going to find out. And I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure. We also need to discuss the possible exchanges of territory, taking into consideration the current line of contact. That means the war zone, the war lines that are pretty obvious, very sad, actually, to look at them. And negotiating positions. President Putin also.
You're listening to the president at the White House now as he begins a discussion in the East Room of the White House. They have a table set up surrounded by the European leaders for this discussion with Volodymyr Zelensky once they throw the press out of the room as they begin their negotiations here. It's going to be a very interesting, productive day at the White House. Probably more significant movement coming out of this than the summit in Alaska on Friday, where we do know that Putin is willing to suspend fighting in exchange for land guarantees, and he's okay with a security guarantee. The question is, will it involve American troops in Ukraine? Something the isolationists in the White House are opposed to, the Rubio faction supports. We'll see where this winds up. I will bring you the latest right here tomorrow and take your phone calls. As always, text ERICK, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777 and get the show notes for more.
If you have the WSB radio app,
If you have the WSB
all
app,
the notifications you
If
need.
you have the WSB app,
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
breaking news in Cobb County.
All in one place.
We'll send out an alert on the WSB
The
app.
95.5 WSB app.
Download it from your app store today. WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
There's an odd thing you need to be aware of when you're buying stuff online. You may be asked as a buyer, buying just an individual item or a couple of things, for your tax ID, your social security number, when you're buying the item. Guess what this is about? It's about tariffs. So as more and more goods are subject to tariffs, the seller of those items may set you up to receive a large bill later from the federal government, from a third-party collection outfit.